What's up, you beautiful people? This is Gary Horn, and this is Pro Wrestling. It's the podcast celebrating the past, present, future, history, legacy, and tradition of the greatest sport of all time. We're talking about professional wrestling here on this show. It's Sunday night. Rob's rocking the National Treasure. The champ is here. There's so much to talk about this week. We got a fire show lined up for you. I'm not even kidding. You have no idea what's coming. I feel anxious for everybody. So I hope that you're sharing this. I hope you put it out on the Twitter, on the Instagram, on the TikToks, whatever you got. Put it out there because this show is going to be a good one. And it's our first show under our new brand name. This is Pro Wrestling. Of course, it's the same bearded trio, the same lovely facial hair you've always loved before. It's me, Gary Horn. And I'm joined, as always, by Will Martin. Hey, Will.
Hey, I'm here. We made it.
And we did. Looks like we made it. Look how far we come, my baby.
Still Rob's move.
Yeah. Speaking of Rob, there he is. The doctor, Rob Stinson, is here, as always. What's up, baby?
We bust up in that club, man, and I'll be back there on the back road the whole night doing this. Tanya just rolling up on it, man, just like that. She does that thing. Boom. I love it, man.
I'd like to confirm that we were held up a bit at the beginning of this show, and it was because of me.
Yeah.
I will deny that it was because of number 2, although Rob put that in the chat. It actually was a whiskey-related incident, though.
Number
I can't
3.
confirm that.
Number 3.
Well, to be fair, you
Number
did
3.
act like. To be fair, you did act like when it happened that you crapped yourself, so we weren't sure.
Well, for those of you who don't know, I had a specific whiskey glass I've used for a very long time. Had my initials on it. It was given to me by my father.
Dude, you didn't say that junk before. Now I feel like it's
Now I feel bad.
Listen, for the record, I think he probably found them at like a Salvation Army or something. I don't know, but he gave it to me.
It's off the count.
We had a whole conversation at 3 a.m. about that glass, dude. You didn't mention that. Now I feel terrible.
And so anyway, that glass just randomly, like as I was putting some ice, there was some ice that wasn't quite going all the way down. I like tapped it a few times and the freaking side of the glass broke off. And so now it's ruined.
You got to quit working out, bro.
I know. Kind of had to go get a new whiskey glass. And that's what's happening tonight. I want to...
Christmas gift idea, bro. Thank you.
There you go. There you go. Oh, man. Roxanne says I can hear an old school deep voice Vince McMahon now. This is pro wrestling. Yeah, I like it.
Wow.
That's what we should do. I'll call him and see if we can get him to do that. I want to give a quick shout out at the top of the show to Front Row, James Lawrence, the Nation Show, who was very kind to show us the Tyson fight the other night, by the way. Brian Rosa, who was taking early bets on if we'd start on time. We didn't. Congratulations to those of you who took Brian's bet.
Everyone.
Ryan Romano's in the chat. We've got who else? Rock says, of course, in the chat, and so many others. Thank you so much. Woodland Goblin is there. We appreciate every single one of you. Here's what we're going to do. We're trying to get things more streamlined for you. So just to give you an idea, right up top, here's what's happening. We're now called This Is Pro Wrestling. Now we're slowly transitioning over into this thing. You know how it is. Rob, do you have like a red lobster bag? What is that?
Are we bothering you again? Oh, yeah.
It's dinner time, bro. Keep talking.
Oh, man. This Is Pro Wrestling. Whiskey glasses would make an excellent Christmas gift. The Nation Show. I saw that in the chat there. So here's the deal. So we've decided that we talk too much about every kind of wrestling. We love the NWA. Obviously, the NWA will always be our baby. But if you didn't tune in last week, Dr. Red Tyler, welcome. We are trying to branch out. We love talking about all kinds of wrestling and not just like brand name pro wrestling like the WWE or the AEW, although that will be included here. We're trying to branch out into other independent companies that you may or may not be aware of that we think deserve more exposure. That not only includes the National Wrestling Alliance, but we're talking about a Mission Pro Wrestling. We're talking about United Wrestling Network. We're talking about even companies like Ring of Honor and Impact Wrestling and MLWT, companies that you don't see every day on your mainstream. We want to try to catch them all and give you everything you need to know. Here's the main thing that I want to say about this is that what we want to try to do is make this thing valuable to you. You listening, you watching right now. It is going to be all about, we've narrowed it down. We think we've got what we need. You're not the normal mainstream fans. If you're watching this right now, you are either people who want to learn more about professional wrestling, or you're the old school fan who just appreciates some context to your pro wrestling. And you're sick and tired of people ignoring the history and legacy and tradition of professional wrestling. And so we're going to try to capitalize on both of those markets right now. That sounds like marketing talk, and I'm not really trying to do that. I'm just saying we're trying to help both of you, because what we want to do is, I think that our old school fans would like to get back into pro wrestling, and we've talked about it. We think there's a lot of lapsed fans that want to get back into pro wrestling. We also think there's new people that don't know anything about pro wrestling, and we think all those people could get along, and we can do a show here and create a community here that has the best fans that can help all of those things happen. So we're going to talk about professional wrestling, everything that's going on, but the most important things we think are going on. We're going to talk about that in context to the historical nature of professional wrestling, but also in a way that we hope we can bring new people in and teach them how this is important and what's happening, if that all makes sense. Guys, am I explaining this properly as to what we all discussed?
Yeah. Yeah, and I'll point out too, I mean, there's a wide world of wrestling out there. So we're not going to cover all of it in one live stream. I see Ryan Romano in the chat is doing a great job of pointing out some of his favorite promotions. That's where you guys come in. Let us know, even all throughout the week on Twitter. Tag us in news articles, tag us in different posts of stuff that we should be aware of, stuff that you want us to talk about in the world of professional wrestling, so that we can kind of constantly be, hearing from you guys, because we say it all the time, but this show, it's not just about the three of us getting to speak. This is a community, and you guys are just as much a part of that as we are. So obviously here in the chat during the streams, but as I said, all throughout the week on Twitter, Facebook, wherever you're connected with us, tag us, send us some links. Feel free to DM us, say, hey, check out this event. You should cover this. And we'll take all that into consideration, because we just want this to be, as Gary said, just a hub for just great, intelligent, professional wrestling. That's what we want to do.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think, when you look at the broader, what we've called the hashtag NWA fam, and I'm talking about Nation Show, I'm talking about JCal, I'm talking about RJ, you're looking at the most intelligent pro wrestling community out there. And that's what we want to celebrate. That's what we want to continue on. That's what we want to build on.
That's it, man. We just want to create the best wrestling community for everybody to join. We know that WWE has their own community going on. AEW has their own community going on. There's other the smaller promotions have their own. They have their own communities, but we're hoping to be able to combine and create a big community where everybody can talk about all of the wrestling they love, and maybe somebody can find their favorite wrestling through this community. That would be great, because there's a different flavor for everybody. So we appreciate everybody who shares this stuff in your Facebook groups, on your Twitter, on your Instagram, everywhere. That's a big deal for us. We want to make sure that we cover all of that. So here's the deal. Where we're at right now is what we're going to do starting tonight. Shout out Mr. Troy in the chat. Thank you so much for joining us. We want to create a new show starting on Sundays where we're going to encapsulate everything that's going on in the week. We're going to have different segments. We're talking about things we want to put over from the week, things we want to bury from the week. We're going to talk about our top prize fight matches from the week. These are all highlights for weekly digestions that you should go back and check out if you missed it, things we think are worth you picking up on. And so we hope to, as we go on from weeks now, incorporate you guys' opinion on the top matches of the week and that sort of thing, things you want to talk about. So we're going to start reaching out to you to tell us what are the highlights of the week for you as wrestling fans. If you were like trying to explain professional wrestling to someone right now, what are the things you think they should look at? What do you think? What do you think would draw them in and make them appreciate the sport even more? We're also going to be even including you in discussion later on in the show. We're going to be talking about, we'll have a whole segment called Falls Count Anywhere, and it's going to be strictly dealing with the chat that's here live with us on YouTube or questions that you've sent in to us. So we'll talk about more of that later, but just so you know, we're going to this is a community. It's all about you guys and not just about us. So these are all things to look forward to. We'll do our previews for the week, all of that stuff on Sunday nights. Also, no longer are we going to be appearing live every Tuesday night. We need to establish that up front here. We've loved covering UWN's Primetime Live. We love doing the after show. Unfortunately, life has gotten the better of us. We all have to work. It's a late night on the East Coast when that show ends. No knock on UWN. We love those guys. We love Todd Kinley, Alyssa Marino, James Kincaid, Bulletproof Troop. We love all those people. We love everybody that competes on that show. We still want to cover it, and we will. But for now, we're going to start switching that over to Wednesdays. We're going to switch it over to Wednesdays at around 6 p.m. Eastern, right before your major shows like AEW Dynamite and NXT. We're going to talk about everything that happened prior, like a half week recap is what we're going to do. We're going to talk about kind of what happened on Monday Night Raw, what happened on UWN, what happened on AEW Dark. We're going to catch you up midweek, just like we're going to reel it in and just kind of catch you up for the week and then come back on Sunday and do it again and talk about everything that was the best of that week. Does that all make sense? I feel like I've covered it all.
You got it. You nailed it, man. It's like all you rehearsed it.
Oh, well, I did. Oh, man. So hopefully that timing works out for you guys. If not, the shows are going to be on our YouTube channel and on our podcast feed. You're going to be able to watch them all later, so it doesn't even matter. We'd love to have you here live, and we're grateful for everybody who does that. But this will just make it an easier schedule for a lot of us, I think. And we'll just start rolling with that and see how that goes. Okay. Woo! And let's see here. Before we head into the next part of the show, I want to give a shout out to John Farmer in the chat. Thank you so much for being here, buddy. We appreciate you, sir, and everything you've given to the pro wrestling industry without even knowing it. And there it is. John Farmer, thank you. All right, let's see here. Wednesday and Sunday, Brian Rosa, that is correct. That's what we're going to shoot for now. Earlier on Wednesdays, actually, trying to get ahead of the AEW and Dynamite thing. I think we might step on MLW a little bit, but we understand if some of you got to catch it live, and it's just the way it has to be, I think. I think it's just going to be best for everybody if we pick up that show. Also, oh, God, help me. Phil Talk Sports is here, and he pointed out NWA Shockwave. Yeah, we can't forget that. So NWA Shockwave starting up. That's all part of it, actually, is that it's just going to make it so much easier. Tuesdays is now a hot night for wrestling, and we want to just be able to just tackle all of it. We've all been enjoying AEW Dark. Now NWA is coming back. UWN Primetime Live's happening. We want to give it all the credit it deserves. And so that's what we're going to start doing on Wednesdays. All right. So that out of the way, let's jump into our very first segment that we've created for you folks. It's called In the Loop. You may have noticed a short pause there, but that's because Will looked like he was readying for something, and I thought he was gonna throw it on, and we didn't talk about it beforehand, so that was just me thinking like, looks like he's reaching for it. I don't know. I don't want to hit it if he's hitting it. You know,
me.
Huh? Me, all right.
I'll do it from here on. I'll do it from here on out. Just we'll establish that.
That's great. All right, so now we know Will's going to be doing it from here on. Let's see. So In the Loop, for those of you who don't know already, In the Loop is a segment we use to talk about all of the latest wrestling news we think is important for you to know. And so not a lot this week actually to jump right into, but one of the things that we had pop up is one of our big favorite wrestlers is the National Treasure, Nick Aldis. And in case you missed it, the fight's already happened, but he was on a huge panel on Saturday night, I believe, talking about the Roy Jones Jr. Mike Tyson fight. And Rob actually turned me on to this. I think Nick did announce it on the show, but Rob, it kind of gave it an interesting feel to this Tyson Roy Jones Jr. thing with Nick Aldis showing up, right?
I mean, we have been talking about prize fighting for a long, long time. I mean, if you know Nick Aldis, one of the things that he really identifies with is the whole war surrounding like Rocky and Apollo Creed. And I really love the fact that they included him on this panel specifically because he is an expert in prize fighting. That's how they introduced him. He's the NWA World Champion, and he knows how to build a prize fight. And he came in to add that perspective. They also introduced him as a boxing expert. And when you are, a former gladiator, when you're a former Impact World Champion, when you're the current NWA World Champion, you know a thing or two about prize fighting. And I think he provided excellent analysis. And he was on there with Matt Stryker, another pro wrestler who understands that whole pro wrestling or prize fighting vibe. In addition to a couple of more specific boxing oriented commentators. But Nick gave some fantastic analysis. I think I was right on line with him. He incidentally was the only one on the panel, if I remember correctly, maybe Stryker did, but I think he was the only one on the panel for to predict Mike Tyson to win this thing. And I know we're going to get into this later, but the champ knows what he's talking about. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, this was just a cool moment for the hashtag NWA fam, I think, just seeing Nick Aldis show up on this panel. This is very cool. Just hearing his analysis. I don't know why I slurred that so much. The whiskey's already hitting. For contextually, the cool part of this for me was just the idea that Nick Aldis, I don't know how much of a boxing expert he is, but I will say that, he tells the story often in different interviews that, when Billy and Dave Lagana contacted him initially about the NWA, one of the things was he had just come off of watching and paying for a couple of boxing pay-per-views. And so when they talked to him about wrestling and what he looked for in wrestling, he actually mentioned, hey man, I just picked up like 2 pay-per-views for boxing. It's been forever, but I just did it. And I haven't been paying attention except that I just wanted to see these fights because I cared about these guys involved and I wanted to see prize fights. So, not that we want to take full credit for the prize fight thing, because that's initially where it comes from. Nick Aldis pitched that idea to Billy Corgan and Dave Lagana when they started the NWA, that's what he hoped to see out of professional wrestling. And that's essentially become what we've hoped to see in wrestling since then. So cool to see that come around full circle for Nick Aldis to show up on a panel discussing a huge boxing match with Iron Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. Next up on the list, I had, I just wanted to mention this, and I don't mean any disrespect. I'm not a huge knowledgeable person about this man, but Bob Ryder is a pioneer of internet wrestling news and one of the founders of TNA Wrestling. He was found dead in his home on 11/25. He passed away due to natural causes. He had cancer and been on heavy chemotherapy. He had just turned 64. So I just wanted to throw his name out there. Some of you may be familiar with Bob Ryder. We saw multiple talent in the professional wrestling world issue their sentiments to the family of Bob Ryder.
That's the thing, Gary. This was not a man who sought the spotlight for himself. He spent his life putting other people over, for elevating the sport, lifting up the talent. and just the outpouring of support that you see surrounding this gentleman, it's very touching. And this just tells you when you've got somebody that's made an impact, a real impact, and there's no pun intended there. The evidence is just there in the outpouring of love and compassion that you see in social media. This was a gentleman who was a real difference maker in a lot of people's lives, including the lives of many people that are important to us, like the champ Nick Aldis and others. Bob Ryder was a great man. He was important to the industry. He will be missed. And the fact that we can't pinpoint, the value that he has just shows how humble this man was, because this guy, trust me, he had inestimable value, and he will be missed.
Absolutely. Just wanted to make sure that he got, for whatever little bit we provide in bringing recognition to his name, we wanted to make sure to do that here tonight. Clearly, when somebody impacts those around you or those people you respect and the views you appreciate, that was a great man, like Rob said. The other bit of news we had here is Billy Corgan's NWA announced a new weekly show on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. That's news for us and for you and for everybody. It's NWA Shockwave. Now, the show supposedly taped at Thunder Studios in Los Angeles in conjunction with the weekly Tuesday night UWN shows. Not a lot is known about those shows. It appears that these may have been shows taped during those primetime live tapings, but either way, they've announced talent supposedly. I mean, in the press releases I've seen, it's talking about Camille and Tom Latimer and Nick Aldis and just everybody, Aaron Stevens, just everybody you can think of. So is it NWA Aftershock? Is that what it's called?
Shockwave.
Is it Shockwave? Somebody said Aftershock in the chat, so I was just making sure I wasn't off. So, okay. All right. So, anyway, this is a new show coming out with the NWA. We're all going to learn. We're all going to find out. We, as having our This is the NWA show, you'd think we'd know, but they didn't send us a press release. So we changed our name out of spite. No, we're just kidding. By the way, This is the NWA will still be around. We've got some ideas for how we approach This is the NWA. The NWA is always going to be our baby, so we'll always have that.
That's right, Gary. I want to highlight that. We're still the home of This is the NWA. That's still very much integral to what we are, and we have programming that is specifically NWA oriented. But yeah, thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah, I want to make sure people don't think we just completely skip the narrative, but since we're not officially licensed by or a part of the brand of NWA, we've just decided, and since there's other things we like to talk about, it just, we want to be able to talk about Mission Pro Wrestling, and, that's not NWA. So we want to, although they feature NWA talent, that sort of thing, we just want it to make sense. We celebrate all of professional wrestling. Moving on. The only other news I had here on the docket, gentlemen, was there was a COVID test positive from the last Impact tapings. A few wrestlers were notified to get checked due to a positive, but were not told who it was. Others in the company were not notified. One wrestler noted that most of the wrestlers were not told, and they were very hot having to hear the news through gossip. The wrestler was believed to be a part of a group of several people who all traveled together and were tight. The company has been lucky up to this point with no positives, since they have only done temperature checks and not testing, a practice that should have been changed to testing once it became clear that WWE had major problems from the same policy. One wrestler noted to us that they were the only major company not testing, which they felt was very irresponsible. That comes courtesy of Fightful, I believe, just to give them credit. But interesting news there. First positive in Impact Wrestling. Some places are still feeling the effects of all of that. Everybody seems to have kind of a lockdown protocol on how to deal with this now. So it's interesting to hear of a company apparently still not having that down on how they escape that and not letting the talent know. That's very weird.
Yeah, this has been this whole COVID thing. When it first started back in March and April, we were talking about a lot. WWE dropped the ball a lot, and we're an easy target. But it's one of those things that a lot of these restarts that have happened with Impact and MLW, Ring of Honor, stuff like that, these guys are going to have to, they can't just jump back into business as usual. They're going to have to take some major precautions. So it's unfortunate. I was trying to find a news article because I'd seen something related to that, where Ethan Page had to cancel a bunch of independent bookings because he might have been in contact, and that might come back to that Impact deal that you're mentioning right now. But yeah, it's unfortunate. It's just a reminder that, still got to be careful, still got to have that protocol and make sure everyone's safe and protected.
Yeah, I feel like we're pretty close to a vaccine coming out, possibly even next month, supposedly, depending on who you hear it from. So there's some chances that this is all going to turn around eventually. But until then, better to be safe than sorry, I think. All right. And that's going to do it for the keeping you in the loop. Boys, what do we decide what's next? Is it going to be our prize fights? Is it going to be
putting it over, right? Or I don't know. Was it prize fights?
We could put it over going into the break. We got a very special guest for our burying it segment that Rob calls.
Let's do prize fights then.
All right. So next up, we're going to talk about the prize fights of the week.
Hit it, Will.
Oh, that is beautiful.
Where did Rob go?
I don't know. Why did Rob go away?
He's like, I'm done. I don't want to talk about it.
We're gonna get this down, folks. I don't know what the hell Rob's doing, but
he just ran away, man.
Rob, nothing.
He's trying to get out of it. All right, whatever.
Okay, well, Rob will just continue to be that picture. I'm gonna do. Nope, that's not helping. Rob, all right. Anyway, so we'll just do this till Rob decides to come back. I don't know what. Stupid. All right. So anyway, these are the prize fights of the week. So as you know, we'd like to keep a focus on prize fight wrestling. And every single week, this is the part that eventually you guys are all going to be a part of. We want you to be part of the deal. Rob, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us.
That's what's up.
Okay.
We're trying to be professional here.
Yeah, we're trying.
Trying.
Okay.
Number 2, man, is a joke.
Oh, he private messaged us. He had to pee. That's what happened.
Oh, okay.
So here we are. Anyway, so look, you wouldn't like us if we weren't still us. So let's not be completely professional, I guess. Yeah. All right. So here we are. Prize Fight Wrestling, what it's going to be is our favorite matches of the week. Now, right now, these are going to be our personal, the Bearded Trio's favorite matches. We consulted with each other and gathered together and did a point system, whatever. We came up with 5 of our best matches for the week. Matches we think anybody who's interested in wrestling would do well to go check out for this week. That said, coming up in future weeks when we have more time to think about it, we want to start hearing from you guys. We want you to drop in what matches you like. When you see a match, you got to tell us what you dig, what you saw that you love, because that's going to help us know how to make our rankings and that sort of thing. We want to include you in this part of the show. So anyway, I guess this is a good time to point out, make sure you hit that like button and make sure to subscribe. The show is all about you guys, so please do that. If you haven't already, if you're watching right now and you're not in the chat, there's an awesome live chat community, and they'd love to have you part of this discussion. But anyway, let's jump into number 5 on our top 5 prize fights of the week. Boys, we had Jay Briscoe versus EC3 on Ring of Honor. That match happened. That was an excellent match, I thought. Not a fan of the ending myself. I know that you weren't. Rob, did you see this match? How'd you feel about this one?
Same thing, man. Ending was if you're practically everybody in our viewing audience here live knows about the ending. Okay, so I'm not going to add any insight into this. The match was fantastic. The ending was crap. And that's all I got to say about it.
Well,
especially Briscoe and EC3. Like, Briscoe's one of my absolute favorite tag team artists. EC3 is one of the. I mean, they deserved a better ending.
I agree. I think they're going to get that better ending. That's the only consolation, just based on, what happened at the end and how commentary, framed it up. We want to see a finish. I think we're going to. But, the reason that I think this is on this list is because of the caliber of these two guys. I mean, you got EC3 and you got Jay Briscoe, two absolute legends when it comes to just like professional wrestling, just gritty, professional wrestlers. And to have them go one-on-one, it's kind of a dream match. I mean, when I first saw that it was coming up, I was like, are you kidding me? Like, this should be a main event. And they even said that on the show. They were like, this would be a main event anywhere. And I love the story they gave it. EC3 coming out a few weeks back and saying, is honor real? And so Jay Briscoe steps up to defend honor. But they're telling a great story, and it would just be almost a sin not to put this match in our first top 5 because it happened despite the finish. So I love the match. I love both of these guys. I'm hopeful that we're going to see a payoff ultimately to this feud, but it was a killer match.
Yeah, I think the trick here is that we love it because these two guys are wrestlers that, despite how you feel about all the aspects you look at in the wrestling industry, like ways to rate or review someone, these two guys, I think, arguably have completed personas, characters, styles, who they are as people, and I think that's what drives people to them. And they're almost two opposite ends of that. It almost feels like Jay Briscoe coming in with this intensity, this aggression, this put up or shut up, let's just do it, I don't care who you are, if you say you want to fight, I'll fight. EC3 with like this more cerebral approach to things, and like, I'm trying to work you out, and I want to pinpoint like what it is about you and how I can break you down, and that makes for an excellent conflict between the two. And so that's the story they built up, and hopefully that story will continue. Unfortunately, this one did end up in a like a no contest, I think is how it really worked out.
Yeah, I think EC3 won, right? Because it was a
did he?
It was like he didn't break.
Oh,
the rope
Jay did break. Yeah, Jay did break in the turnbuckle. Yeah.
Right. That was the screw job finish, man. But I like what Will said about gritty. I've never thought of EC3 as gritty. I think of the Briscoes as gritty. You know what I mean? And to me, like this was a matchup of like opposite ends, because I think of EC3 is way more refined, and the Briscoes, both of them, is way more gritty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I can see that. And so it's just interesting seeing the dichotomy of these two guys going at it. It's exactly the perfect kind of wrestling story you want to see, in my opinion. And these two guys brought it for the limited amount of time that they had. It lived up to it. I was super into this match. I was very disappointed when it was over. But I do have to say, even in the back, we're still early in the evening, so I won't quote him exactly, but Quinn McKay did approach Jay Briscoe in the back and was like, EC3 is trying to shake your hand the whole time, and he wouldn't shake his hand. Like, why? And he's like, because F him, that's why.
I mean, I did think that was really funny. She went to Jay Briscoe, of all people, saying, you're talking about honor. Like, was that really honorable? Like, when has Jay Briscoe, his gimmick been honorable? I mean, that dude is gritty.
He is. I hear you, Will, but I think like there's always been a sort of like a certain trashy nobility about the Briscoes. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
I've always felt like there's still a sense to me. Like, one of the coolest things about Ring of Honor is that the code. You do the handshake. Everybody does the handshake, and it's not like this is the Briscoes' first day in Ring of Honor. They've done it.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it this guy that suddenly used to spin? And I'm a Briscoe guy. I've been saying for months, I want these guys in the Crockett Cup. I want these guys.
As a tag team guy, man, I can't not love them.
You got to shake his hand, bruh. I'm here telling you, you got to shake his hand.
Well, Rob, I'm actually going to throw myself on your side a little bit that I do think there is this nobility that the Briscoes do have. I think what it is with EC3 is that he's been coming in saying there's no honor. There's no honor in professional wrestling. Where is their honor? Is honor even real? Yada, yada, yada. And for a guy like Briscoe, who, like you said, has been in Ring of Honor for all of this time, when probably had so many other opportunities, he's just pissed. He's just kind of looking at this guy like, who are you? Like, how can you walk in here and there's no honor here? You don't even know us anymore. You left. You went off to the big leagues and you did your own thing. I've been here. Don't come in my territory talking like, you know what's going on here. It's just, he feels it's disrespecting him.
Well, whatever, Gary. I mean, the honor is not it's not like contingent upon the honor is the independent variable here. You know what I mean? The honor stands regardless of whether you got someone coming in trash talking or not. It's like, as a person who lives, moves, and breathes in civil society, I don't believe in violent protest. I don't care what the situation is. I'm not going to engage in violence regardless when it comes to like expressing my public opinions out there in public discourse. When you're in Ring of Honor, you believe in honor. It doesn't matter who comes in. Whether you extend me honor or not, that's irrelevant to whether or not I extend you honor. I'm going to give that to you regardless.
Oh, so if I'd have walked up at your Thanksgiving dinner and slapped your mama in the face, you'd have shook my hand anyway and welcomed me to the table.
That's not the public discourse, bro. Then you're engaging in private matters. But if
I'm just saying, if you walk up in Ring of Honor Wrestling and you talk about there's no real honorable people here,
yes,
then
I shake your hand and show you here's how we do it here.
Okay, all right, whatever. Anyway, Briscoe.
I thought this is so confusing because I thought you guys agreed, and I was the odd man out, and I'm just
agreed
listening
for
to
a
y'all
minute. We agreed for a minute.
And then you kept talking, Gary, and then Rob found something he didn't like.
Yeah, that seems to be how it sounds like my wife.
You made me drunk laugh, bro. I was like,
yeah, dude. You got to quit smoking, bro.
Oh, man. Anyway, all right. So number 4. Let's go to number 4. Rob, you're going to have to defend this one, my brother, because number 4 on our prize fights of the week is in our first week as This Is Pro Wrestling and talking about prize fight wrestling. Number 4 on our list is not a wrestling match. Somehow we ended up here. Rob had ranked this highly, was very insistent it ended up on this list. I was like iffy. I enjoyed it. I watched it. I had fun. But Rob, somehow Iron Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. ended up at number 4 on our top 5 prize fight wrestling matches of the week. Will's doing the Iron Mike DX impersonation up there.
That's right. That's right. And thank you, Will. Hold on. Let me get a bite of this andouille sausage.
Ugh.
Good point, Will. And that's
That looked like a Holyfield here.
Yeah. Mike Tyson, Roy Jones Jr., guys. This belongs in our prize fights of the week if we really believe in prize fighting, okay? It's not like we're picking. Now, let's not forget, there was about, 4 or 5 other matches on this card. One of them was really entertaining. A guy got knocked out. He's probably still knocked out, Nate Robinson. All right? But this one is particularly important. Why? Because it's Roy Jones Jr. and Mike Tyson, 2 of the greatest prize fighters in the history of the world since the foundations of the world, man. Since the foundations of the galaxy. You got to think that this deserves consideration. And I'm not saying, every time there's an MMA, card, or every time there's a boxing match, we got to cover it. But you got to talk about it when it's relevant to the wrestling community. And this is relevant. Why is it relevant? I'm glad you asked, Gary. 1, because Nick Aldis was asked to comment on this as a prize fighting expert, and he offered excellent analysis. 2, because the commentators, every single one of them in here, were talking about pro wrestling the entire time. 3, the entire pro wrestling community was engaged in this. I sat there with a Nation show last night, had one of the times of my life looking at this match. Did we talk about wrestling? Yeah. You know why? Because it's relevant to us. This match was relevant. 4, Both competitors, both Roy Jones Jr. and Mike Tyson, have been involved in pro wrestling in some manner, way, shape, or form. Will just pointed it out. Freaking Mike Tyson was a member of DX, dude. Mike Tyson nearly took Chris Jericho's head off a week ago. And then last night, we got to see something that we never thought would happen. Basically, the equivalent of Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair in the 1980s. We got to see the two greatest prize fighters of our time, Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr., square off. And I think
Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair, but I saw Iron Sheik tweet out to Hulk Hogan that we're leaving money on the table if we don't do this.
I say make it happen, baby. Make it happen.
I say that sounds like a terrible idea, but okay. Listen, I'm with you. It was an excellent prize fight, and I watched Tyson Jones, and it was a blast. I had a good time watching that match. Like, I've become more and more over the last 4 or 5 years a big fan of boxing, and I never thought I would be. But, I mean, I had only ever before several years ago watched Tyson fights because that was just, culture. Like, it was just part of the zeitgeist is that you watched Tyson fights when I was growing up. So you tried to go to your friend's house that had it or whatever. That was just a big deal. You had to see it. But that said, it was cool. It was cool. The whole show was cool. Actually, that Logan Paul or Jake Paul, whichever Paul that was a cool match. That knockout, man, that KO was badass. But yeah, the Tyson Roy Jones Jr. definitely had the big fight feel going into it. There were the introductions. There was the commentary with Mauro Ranallo. And God, Snoop Dogg was fun as hell on the commentary. And it was good, man. And those guys, they were laying it in. They were going for it. You were told before, during, and after this was an exhibition matchup, but it didn't feel like an exhibition matchup. It looked like these guys were laying it in. And I don't know that this could be a normal thing, but these 2-minute rounds, it felt like you're really going for it for 2 minutes. So there was a lot to love about it. I was hesitant just because of the aspect of professional wrestling, and I'm worried about the barrier to entry to this top 5 list. Not that we're some kind of sophisticated list, but just that, if we start including professional boxing here, like, where's the line? We got MMA,
baseball games, football games,
prize fight football.
Yes, I would say it's not like, come on, guys. Look, it's not like this is happening every day. It's not like we don't have enough content to cover week after week after week. Every once in a while, there's something of particular importance. And I would say, to your point, Will, that if
I've not said a word.
No. I would say, hold on now. I would say if Ric Flair showed up to say, you know what, I'm going to strike out Freddie Freeman, you better believe it's going to make my doggone prize fight of the week. Heck yeah, it is, because it's not something that happens all the time, but it's relevant at the moment. Let me tell you, man, doggone Snoop Dogg looked across the doggone podium to Sugar Ray Leonard and said, we are going to tag team at WrestleMania. He said that last night. Joe Logan, he heard it. We was hanging out together. They can attest to that. This was relevant. It should be on the prize fight list.
All right. Well,
yeah, Gary.
Well, okay. Let's not turn this on me. I'm just saying.
Nah, yeah, we're turning it on you because it's all about you, bro. You the one didn't want to include it.
All right. Okay. Well, listen, a lot of people watched it. And James Lawrence, I see you in the chat. Anybody that saw it, yes, Tyson won that match. It was a BS finish, just like the Jay Briscoe and EC3 matchup. It was a garbage announced finish. I will give it that. Number 3 on our list. Let's work through this thing. We got to head to a break eventually here. Number 3 is MLW this week. Filthy Tom Lawler took on Rocky Romero. And it was opening round of the MLW's Opera Cup 2020. These two guys. I don't know what else to say here. These two guys I thought they tore it up in the ring. Like they were very, very good in a match together, competitive. Rocky Romero, if you've been watching the UWN Primetime Live with us, you've seen him on there. You see him in New Japan. He's all over. He's got a great history in the business. Tom Lawler has it too, but just also this feel of two different competitors. Rocky Romero, I feel like, walks in as a classically trained professional wrestler, doing his best to bring the elevated sense of the sport, and Tom Lawler bringing that very MMA, like Conor McGregor style sense to the sport of like, I'm going to try to put you on your game psychologically, and but also being a very good professional wrestler. This match ended up going to a submission, if I'm not mistaken, and Filthy Tom Lawler coming out on top to advance in the Opera Cup. But I just thought these two gentlemen had an excellent wrestling match. And Rob, how'd you feel about this one?
I'm a big Rocky Romero fan, dude. I mean, aside from New Japan, we've seen him recently, doing commentary for Talking Shop-A-Mania. But, the sky's the limit for him. We've been talking about him for weeks now. And I absolutely love this match. Solid. I actually would have put this as number 4 and Mike Tyson Roy Jones Jr. as number 3, but that's just me.
Yeah, well, I think I'm probably the reason for that is because I called BS on that. Like, we'll put Tyson and Jones in there, but it's number 4.
Yeah, I haven't gotten a chance to watch this match yet, but super excited just from what I've seen from both these guys. From all accounts, it looks like it went pretty long, like 17 minutes.
Yeah, it was a good, decent length match. And if you watched AEW, or I'm sorry, you've seen Rocky Romero, and Will, you watched Bloodsport with us, right? Tom Lawler won his match in that. So he's got that pedigree.
Nice. Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching that. I've got it bookmarked on my YouTube.
He walks into the match with, Rocky Romero's basically decked out in his professional wrestling gear, dressed like a professional wrestler. Tom Lawler enters the ring with Daisy Dukes on, and just like he's short-cut jean shorts, and he's trying to just throw Rocky Romero off his game. You can definitely see that, like, that psychological impact he tries to go for there. It's a very good match. There's not a lot to say about it. It's just a fun match to watch. You want to see a good wrestling match. Filthy Tom Lawler versus Rocky Romero is a very good one on MLW. Moving on, number 2 on our list. This was a tough one, guys, because I could have easily put this at number 1, but it did not end up there. On NXT on Wednesday night, Kyle O'Reilly took on Pete Dunne in a ladder match to get the first man advantage or something like that, basically, in the War Games coming up for NXT. And it was impossible not to include this one. I am a huge Kyle O'Reilly and Pete Dunne fan. These guys looked amazing. They wrestle amazing, and they took it to each other. And on a random NXT show out of the blue, they whipped the hell out of each other and took themselves to the limit. It was fantastic. Just an amazing ladder match, I thought, on Wednesday night on NXT. Not even a pay-per-view. These guys kicked the hell out of each other. It was so good. Will, did you see this one?
Yes, I did. It was incredible. And I mean, we joke about it a lot, and we're really critical of WWE and not as much NXT. But one thing that they know how to do is ladder matches, man. And I'm always a little bit kind of put off going into it. But in NXT, it seems like they always deliver on this stuff. And when you got a guy like Pete Dunne and a guy like Kyle O'Reilly, I mean, it was just nonstop, man. I mean, it was, everything you really want a ladder match to be. Great story, just brutal spots. These guys, look like they hate each other. They hate each other's guts. And, the finish, again, was a little tarnished for me, with a little bit of interference. But, I think it is what it is. And it's a great match building into War Games. And giving Pete Dunne's team that one-man advantage. And, it's definitely worthy of being on this list. I enjoyed it.
Rob, any feelings on this one you want to express? Just love.
This probably would have been my number 1. This probably would have been my number 1 if it weren't for the implications involved. I think the implications with the UWN match that we're going to, I didn't mean to spoil it. Dang it. Anyway, if the stakes had been higher, this would have been number 1. It was a great match.
Yeah, and this is no knock on AEW. I see people talking about some AEW stuff. I enjoyed the TH2 matches that were there, and Silver versus Hangman Page.
Mhm.
Those were great matches. Kushida versus Thatcher was a good match. I hated that Thatcher tapped. I think that was just terrible booking. Terrible booking. When oh God, why did I forget his name? Not Gargano, but Ciampa. Tommaso Ciampa is just sitting at ringside waiting. I was like, why would you not save that for like Tommaso Ciampa? Like, why is he tapping to Kushida right now? Anyway, that's all another story. We'll get there. Now it's time to talk about the number one match from last week that we saw, that we enjoyed, and it just came to a consensus. And here we are. We'll see if you guys agree and if you saw it. It happened on UWN Primetime Live. If you did not participate and watch episode number 11 of UWN Primetime Live, you got an excellent match. We think an excellent opening match. We actually ranked number one for the week, Fred Rosser versus Sean Davari. We really, really loved that match. That was a big one for us. These two guys just have proven themselves time and time again. If you watched it, New Japan, if you've been watching UWN, you watch the UWN World Title Tournament, that sort of thing. You gotta hand it to both of these guys. Seeing Sean Davari come back, he looks like $1 million, and Fred Rosser is just, God, if you only know him as Darren Young, you are missing out so much. This man is an excellent technician and competitor. Well, here we are. These two took on each other, and they were both semifinalists in the UWN World Title Tournament, so this has to have world title implications, you would think. And Rob, I think even at the time, you were predicting that the winner of this match was going to go on to face off against Mike Bennett if Chris Dickinson is just too injured to, like, we don't know a timetable. But these two guys laid it all out there. I would pay to see these guys over and over again. Fred Rosser, Sean Davari, they're two of the guys I think underappreciated in the wrestling business, and they showed you why on Tuesday night.
Yeah, I don't think you can look at this as anything other than a contenders match right here. I mean, barring the nature of Chris Dickinson's injury. I mean, if Chris Dickinson is injured and he's going to be out for months on end here, this is the guy that's going to be in the ring with Mike Bennett. Okay, it's Rosser. You can tolerate 3, maybe 4 weeks. Then you're pushing the limits of the relevance of the tournament. The tournament is hot right now. You got to get a champion crowned, and if Chris Dickinson is really the man, then and he has to sit out 4 or 5 weeks, and he's going to have to come and face the winner of this and prove that he's really the man. Okay. The bottom line is this match to me felt like a contenders match. It felt almost like a tournament match. And it felt like, if Chris Dickinson can't make the bell and injuries happen, it's not his fault. Things happen. But if you can't make the bell and rise to the occasion here in the immediate future, and again, I'm talking 2, 3, 4 weeks tops, Rosser's the guy.
Yeah. And we were saying for the last, probably 3 weeks, since the finals have been set, obviously from the get-go, we've wanted to see Dickinson and Mike Bennett go at it for that title. But one of the things that this match did, at least for me, which is the reason why I put it at number one as well, is that it really did change my mind, is like to what you're saying, Rob. Hey, if it's going to be another couple of months, let's just go ahead and put Fred Rosser in there, because now I want to see that just as much, because these guys got in there on Tuesday night and put on a hell of a match. And I was like, either one of these guys are contenders. And I would buy that, you know what I mean? As a prize fight, these guys have earned it. And so it really kind of shifted my thinking from, okay, let's just wait, because I definitely want Mike Bennett, Chris Dickinson. I think we'll get that at some point, even if it's on down the road because of Chris Dickinson's injury. But this match was, man, I mean, both these guys are at their absolute best. They are on another level right now. And, I'm not going to say it would be a disappointment at this point to see Chris Dickinson versus Mike Bennett. I still want to see that, but it kind of almost is just because of the momentum that this match gave both of these guys, but specifically Fred Rosser.
All right. Well, just if you haven't checked it out, episode number 11 of UWN Primetime Live is well worth your time, if not for anything else but that match. But there is an excellent Ray Rosas match on there. You gotta, I mean, it's good stuff. So if you haven't been tuned into UWN Primetime Live, it's worth your time. We can suggest that it's quality stuff so far. And anyway. So that's our number one, Fred Rosser versus Shad Davari. Starting next week, we're going to include you guys. So make sure that you're paying attention to our social media feeds on Instagram, Twitter, everywhere. We're going to start putting together our list, our personal list, and then we're going to toss it out to you guys to let you decide what the order is. If there's something we missed, we want you to tell us what we should check out. We want This Is Pro Wrestling to have the definitive top 5 matches of the week, and you all are going to help that happen. Okay, that out of the way. Next half of the show, we're going to throw in our new segments called Putting It Over, Burying It, and we're going to do a Falls Count Anywhere segment, a preview for next week called Booking It. All of those things, Falls Count Anywhere involves all of you. We're going to get there, but before we get there, the Burying It segment is going to include a very special guest that Rob Stinson's Burying It segment has called down the thunder, and he's going to have to answer with the lightning. Maybe. We'll see. We're going to see what happens. We want to give a shout-out to Neil Benedict.
Yeah, see you, Gary.
Man, come on, Gary. Man, just out like that, man.
Well, shout out to everybody Gary was going to give a shout out to. Rob, do you want to set up this interview? We're gonna do a quick break. I'm going to show an interview that Rob did earlier today that's pretty cool, and then we will be back for the second half. Oh, there's Gary.
Yeah, sorry. I was just trying to give out my shout outs and I hit the wrong button on my mouse. But Rock says, Jedi Warrior, all the people, Andy Blivens, thank you guys so much for being here. Stick around, share it with your friends, because I promise you, on the other side of this break, after this interview and a few commercials that are fun commercials, there are commercials, so just stick around for them. But I promise you, it's going to get real in the second half of this show. So stay tuned. We got a special guest coming up to answer Rob's Burying It segment, and I am super excited about that.
Yeah. Hey, Rob, you want to set up this interview, and then we'll kick it off?
Yeah, man. First of all, Mark Spadilla is in the chat, man. He's from the Nation Show fam, and enjoyed having him in here. But we had a chance to sit down today, just right after the Tennessee Titans, Indianapolis Colts game, and this is a major player in the Indy, Tennessee scene, one of the most vibrant scenes in pro wrestling right now. Alex Taylor, one of my favorites, one of Sandoval's favorites, and I got to sit down with him to talk about what's going on in his career, what's going on with him in the future, and what's up here with 127 Pro in Grimsley, Tennessee, the Aldous Brian Pillman Jr. match coming up here on December 10th. It was a lot of fun. All right, wrestling fans, I'm here with none other than Alex Taylor, one of the prominent faces in the Tennessee independent wrestling scene. He's been described as a regional talent. Of course, I think the sky's the limit for this guy. Alex, how you doing today, man?
Doing well, man. My Titans just destroyed the Colts in Indianapolis, so I'm feeling good.
Well, I was going to say, I'm sort of a glass is half full kind of guy. And coming off this big Tennessee victory, I know that you're very optimistic right now. A lot of people are bleak about the landscape in 2020, but one of the really bright things going on in Tennessee in 2020 has been the Tennessee wrestling scene, the North Georgia, East Tennessee wrestling scene, which you're very much a part of. Tell me a little bit about what's going on in Tennessee.
Yeah, so thankfully, all this COVID stuff, wrestling definitely slowed down a lot, but Tennessee is a place where there's still shows here, mostly every weekend. I know a lot of my friends, like in the Midwest and more out west, everything's like completely shut down. They're getting like one show every few months and staying pretty busy out here.
So what are some of the promotions we need to pay attention to? I know Tried and True is a big presence, and that has particular relevance to us in the NWA fam. We've got this promotion that runs out of Grimsley, Tennessee that I happened to be able to catch you at a few days ago. What are some of the promotions that you're working for here in the state of Tennessee?
Once you said out of Grimsley, like you're talking about, they're a fantastic promotion. They have really good people in charge. They put on a good show. It's always a great atmosphere there, good fans. Tennessee, Tried and True, really not much is going on right now. I know they ran out of Kentucky this last year, so that's really hit or miss with the way that commission's set up. Other than that, just doing stuff AWF here in North Georgia. That's great. I actually big match coming up this weekend with Lex Lee, tables, ladders, and chairs for the Viral Championship. So that's something to look forward to.
Right. That's one of the main reasons I wanted to talk to you today. You were involved in the American Wrestling Federation World of WOW in the Viral Championship title picture. Very interesting concept. You're the current reigning champion, the first champion. Tell us about the concept behind the Viral Championship. What is that all about?
Viral Championship. We had a show, Viral. I think it has dissolved. I'm not sure. Maybe COVID was on that. But I am the Viral Champion, the first, the reigning. I'm gonna be one first, and that's me, Daddy. So I'm gonna run with it. I'm gonna throw Lex off a ladder this weekend and retain my title.
Now you have some history with Lex Lee. This is a guy that you've teamed up with, you've toured with, you've fought against. Right now, you guys aren't seeing eye to eye on much of anything. Who is this Lex Lee, and why should we pay attention to him, or should we pay attention to him?
Lex Lee, man, at one point I would tell you Lex Lee was one of my best friends. We've been in many cars and many bars together, but right now that guy's too self-absorbed to see anything but his own selfish needs right now. So that is I'm gonna put an end to that this weekend though. So
you're locking horns Saturday night in Ringgold, Georgia at the Circus Tent Arena, and this is a table, ladders, and chair match. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Where can our viewers, if they're interested, can they go to find tickets for that, or where is this located at, this circus tent?
Google is a good source for that. Facebook, maybe check that out. Ringgold, Georgia Tent Arena. It's off Battlefield Parkway somewhere. I don't. Type in your Google. Sorry, I don't.
It's going back to the Tennessee scene in general. Are there other personalities that our viewers should really pay attention to, in addition to yourself and Lex Lee? Who are some of the names out there that are going to make waves here in the upcoming months? I know we see like Tom Latimer's out there, but there's a guy that I'm really into called Jeremiah Plunkett. Very interesting guy. Then there's another guy, Ramey. I can't pronounce his last name, but he's often teaming with him and Plunkett in the Full-Blooded Italians iteration tag team that's going on right now, or six-man group. Who are some of the people we need to watch?
About Frankie Pizzarella. He's part of the Powerhouse Paisans. That's another group I've had my run-ins with in the past. They're a strong force, but I keep them at bay. Guys like Brian Valor, tremendous talent. Even guys from kind of the North Georgia area, they're in Tennessee a lot. Guys like Ian Hunter Bates, another great talent. Kid Page. There's all types of people, and it's going. Dylan McQueen, another fantastic talent. They're right here, Crazy Steve. I don't know if you heard of him. You can pick up this shirt, Wrestling Tees. There's a wealth of talent. And the TNT school is there. Dr. Tom and Kane school is Tennessee. Ricky Morton. There's all kinds of talent out of Tennessee right now.
Yeah, we've described Tennessee as one of the three major seats of vibrance when it comes to pro wrestling right now today. The other two being Texas, specifically San Antonio and the Dog Pound Dojo, and then Southern California with the Santino brothers and New Japan's LA Dojo. But Tennessee, one of the big three centers of pro wrestling right now. And again, you're very much a part of that, man. You're one that I hear a lot of people talking about. Someone we're watching with a lot of interest. I got to ask you as we're about to sign off here, did you catch the Mike Tyson Roy Jones Jr. fight last night?
I did. I caught the highlights. I didn't watch it live, but I watched it right afterwards. But yeah, it was fun. I mean, Obviously not two guys in prime, but it's a great nostalgia thing. Entertainment for sure.
Now they called it a draw.
Two guys I wouldn't want to have in the ring with.
Right. They called this thing a draw, man. I had Tyson up by about 10 points the way I scored it.
Yeah, I think so too, but it is what it is.
Yeah. All right, man. Last question. December 10th, I'm going to be back in Grimsley with the boys from the podcast covering this Nick Aldis, Brian Pillman Jr. match for the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship. A two-part question. One, who do you got on this match? And two, are you going to be in action there for us to cheer on there in Grimsley?
Okay, on the second one first. No, I'm not going to be on that card, sadly. I would love to be on that card, but I won't be there that night. Pillman Jr. is fantastic. I've seen him work. I think he's definitely going to be a huge star, but I'm going to have to give the edge to Aldis on the night. I think the match, he's just his game right now. One of the best in the world.
Well, there you go, guys. You heard it from Alex Taylor. This is Dr. Rob Stinson coming at you. This is Pro Wrestling. Thank you for watching. Yeah, baby. Looks like you get the call again tonight, buddy. Now that's what's up. All right, it's gonna be a great night. Let's seize the day, champ. Hey, baby. Yeah, I'm ready for date night. Did I shave silky smooth like you asked me to? Yes. See you in 3 minutes. Smooth as a baby's bottom. What'd you think I meant? 4 years before the first Survivor Series, 2 years before WrestleMania and the first pay-per-views, and 2 months before the birth of Hulkamania, there was Crockett Promotions Starrcade 83, A Flair for the Gold, the first annual supercard in the history of the business, the true granddaddy of them all. This card was stacked, featuring classics such as the dog collar match between Greg Valentine and Roddy Piper, the masked Charlie Brown's television title win over the Great Kabuki, and Steamboat and Youngblood's NWA World Tag Team title win over the dreaded Briscoe brothers. The highlight of the night, though, was a bloodied and battered Ric Flair overcoming months of harassment and a $25,000 bounty to defeat Harley Race for his second World's Heavyweight Championship, marking the first time the world's title had ever changed hands inside a steel cage. Starrcade 83 was a night of memories, a night of history, a night that fundamentally changed wrestling history forever. And that night was tonight, 37 years ago. Thank you for watching. This is the NWA Presents. This is Pro Wrestling History.
Oh yeah, SEO. I got a plugin on my blog for that. Oh, nice. And that plugin actually tells you like a good target audience for your specific content. Well, it tells you optimal search terms for your target audience and how to work those in naturally to your content. Here's the 3 types of research that you should be doing for SEO. Obviously, the first is keyword research. Secondly, competitor research, who's ranking for the terms that you want to rank for. And the third is SERP research. This will help you determine the actual user intent for the searches you're targeting. Website security is really, really important for SEO. So here's a quick way to figure out if your website's secure. Visit your homepage in Chrome and then look for this little lock icon. If you get the lock icon, you're secure. If not, it'll say not secure.
Slice of fried gold.
Yeah, boy!
Have you checked the children? You're one of us.
I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash your brain.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I'd buy that for $1.
There's no more room in hell. The dead will walk here.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare.
I was going to say head to cinemashock.net where you can find all of our current episodes. Plus, you can find links to where you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or Google Podcasts or any of those places. Or you can just really search any of those places to find us.
The second half. Oh, thank you so much for unmuting me, Will.
Gotcha.
I had muted myself on my own mic, but you know what? We're not professional enough for this. We're working on it. Yeah, thank you guys so much. Cinema Shock. Yeah, check that out at cinema_shock. Check it out. It's my movie podcast. You should look at it. But more importantly than that, we're back with This Is Pro Wrestling. Thank you all for being here. James Lawrence, Neil Benedict, Jedi Warrior Front Row, everybody. I'm going to miss somebody, but here's the point. We're back and we're going to go into the second half of the show and what will normally be a putting it over and a burying it segment. But because this is a very special first edition of This Is Pro Wrestling, we've got to jump right into the burying it section because we have a very special guest. So Will, do you think we can knock ours out in like 2 seconds? Do you think we can do that? And we'll just go right into Rob's. Here's mine. Mine was The Miz winning the Battle Royal at Survivor Series. What BS. I hated that. That's the thing I want to bury. There was no reason for it to happen. Can we also put a moratorium on the guy ducks under the ropes and just hangs out till the very end of the match and comes in and eliminates somebody? That's stupid. Let's put a 20 count on these people. Hopefully somebody who does a wrestling show is listening to this, and they might be. That could be a thing you could consider. I don't know. Just throwing that out there. Anyway, The Miz won it for no reason. It might have been cooler if Dominic Mysterio had won, but he didn't. The Miz won, and then you know what they did with it on Monday Night Raw? Well, I'll tell you. Nothing. The Miz wasn't even on Monday Night Raw.
Mystifying.
So there.
Shouldn't be shocked. We shouldn't be
Mystifying.
shocked.
Stupid.
Should not be cinema
Stupid.
shock.
That's what it was.
Well,
Should not. All right. Will, yours. Go ahead. What's
coincidentally,
your
mine
moment
is
of the week?
also WWE related. It's a little more lighthearted. But apparently, a lot of us know WWE is moving the Thunderdome from Orlando to Tampa Bay, I believe. Right? Or no, it's Tampa Bay. Tropicana Field. Yeah.
Well, is it Tropicana Field?
There is a pigeon problem there, and there's like a flock of pigeons that lives in the ceiling there or something like that. So I'm going to bury this flock of pigeons for potentially trying to step all over WWE's Thunderdome. But I just thought that was funny. We'll see how that turns out.
Yeah, I'm going to call BS.
Perfect. All right.
The only reason you pulled that junk is because Mike Tyson raised pigeons, and you did not want him on the top 5. That's the only reason you pulled that junk out tonight.
Rob, I'm gonna have to call you out. I feel like you're gonna start into some QAnon birds aren't real thing or something like that. And I don't want to be any part of that. So, but what I will give you, Rob, is your platform to discuss your burying it moment of the week. Now, this is a big deal for us. So I hope everybody's sharing this out on your social medias and everything, because Rob has a bone to pick here, and we may have a proper answer for you. So Rob, go ahead and let us know, what is it you're trying to bury this week? What's on your mind?
Let me preface this by saying The person I'm about to bury, and we're not going to really bury anybody. I mean, if we, we're all friends of the sport, friends of the industry. The person I'm about to bury is someone that I really, really deeply respect. And I'm going to tell you right now, if Aldis on that Fight TV segment had picked Roy Jones Jr. over Tyson, I would have been burying Aldis right now. So, and you know how I love Aldis. Okay, so let's get that.
I don't believe that. Not even for a
I
second.
don't either. I believe that when I see it.
I've messaged Aldis before saying, I know you're about to pick Tyson. I know you are. So don't tell me what I'm fit to do. Don't tell me what I'm fit to do, Gary.
Rob, get to the point, because I don't buy anything you're saying, and I want to know. I don't know what's your problem this week, because you always
It's always something with this guy.
The point is
guy. About everything.
There's literally somebody outside. What time is it? It's 10 o'clock p.m. at night, and there's literally someone outside
not on the
my
West
garage
Coast,
mowing
baby.
their lawn. Okay, so yeah, on the East Coast, they're out there mowing their lawn right now when I'm trying to do my interview. Okay.
Well, I'm going to tell you something, Rob. There's somebody on the West Coast who it's not 10 o'clock p.m. who's wasting their valuable time waiting for you to get to the point.
Piper, go to bed. All right, listen. I'm not burying this person, but I am burying this comment because Dave Marquez knows he's forgotten more about pro wrestling than I will ever know. He's forgotten more about pro wrestling than any of us will ever know. But Dave Marquez is no stranger to controversy. He likes controversy. It's cool. That's part of his charm. But this week, just like nary a day or two ago, he made a comment on Facebook that sent chills up all of our fans, all of us who are waiting for the return of power, for the fan-based NWA Power Show to return. He made a comment. Can you throw it up? There it is. I just want him to defend that comment because
I may be the exception, but I don't miss fans at shows. So, Rob, let me ask you, like, just right off the bat, like, what does that say to you? Just, I'm curious. Like, as you as a fan, like, you're hanging out, you're on Facebook. Clearly, you're friends on Facebook with David Marquez. What's going through your mind when you see that pop up on the feed?
I'm thinking, first of all, well, there's got to be something more to this because this is a guy I deeply respect. Do I see eye to eye on him with everything? No, I'm a Republican. He's obviously not. And he is very outspoken about his stuff, and that's cool. But he respects differences of opinion, and this is a guy that can carry on a debate and not be taken personally. But I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, well, obviously he's speaking from a production standpoint. He likes having the distraction of the fans out of the way. So that's the benefit of the doubt that I'm giving him. But I have to let him to speak for that. Because if he's saying he doesn't want fans in the equation, that's something I'm going to have a big problem with.
Well, Rob, lucky for you, we are like the freaking game show of the century right here. We are just the I don't know what you call it, like the Price is Right or the Oprah Winfrey show. I don't know. But we reached out, and it turns out we are lucky enough today to have David Marquez on the show, and he is here to talk to you directly about your Burying It segment.
Look how happy he looks.
He looks ready to go.
My man.
Dave, we got to ask you. I'm seeing it in the chat room right now. No fans in the arena. WTF, Dave? What's going on, David? What do you mean? What's happening here? Did you really put on Facebook you'd rather not have people?
Absolutely.
Say it ain't so, Dave.
Absolutely, I did. From your favorite Democratic Socialist, absolutely.
My man.
No, man. Look, here's the deal. 30 years of being in wrestling. I have encountered beautiful crowds, the most easiest people to entertain. And then in the last probably 17 years, that's all changed. I've been producing now 3 different television series with no people for about, 3 or 4 months now. and it's gorgeous. It's beautiful. We don't have to deal with anybody's stuff. We don't have to. They're not the show. There's no calling just to turn attention to something else. We could actually tell a story. We could allow the talent to go out there and do their job instead of having to constantly try to go around all the BS that people these days try to turn the show into. The biggest names in wrestling all agree. I was speaking for at least 40 or 50 pretty well-known personalities, executives, whatever you want to call them, and they all agree that shows right now are much better without people. You talked about the Power program. That show was not the type of crowd I'm talking about. I don't know if it's regional or not, and it could be. I've done many shows in the South and many shows in the Mid-South, Midwest, Mid-Atlantic, and it's 50-50. You'll get great crowds. You'll get one or two people, and they usually buy the prime seats to either be on camera and to make sure they're heard and all that stuff. But more and more, if you go back and I don't know exactly. I seem to watch everything, so. It really started for me. I went to England, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago, and I went to some pub show, and I think it was Tommy Dreamer and I forgot the goddamn guy's name. But anyhow, they had a match, trash cans, all this stuff, and I was sitting in the back of the room, and that's the first time I ever saw the fans, in person, get involved in the ring, pounding the canvas. All that kind of stuff. And then from there, it just snowballed. And then I saw it here with like freelance wrestling and new wave wrestling. And then I was an owner for a while in CZW, and that's obnoxious. Anyhow, my own experience. And then here in Southern California, I don't go to shows for that reason. The fans have pushed me away from attending wrestling, not because I'm a promoter or I have a show in the area. It's because it wasn't fun. It was all about them. And let me take that statement back. It is supposed to be about them, but not in that context. It's supposed to be about them, that they're enjoying themselves. You don't go to like a Six Flags or Disney and complain and try to, you're going to get on Space Mountain and yell at the tracks because the curves aren't good enough, or or the queue isn't entertaining enough.
Rob does.
Well, that's unfortunate. Maybe he should recall some of those memories. But at any rate, that's the reason, and it's very true. I didn't say that fans shouldn't come back. I said I don't miss them, and I don't. And it's not necessarily from a production point of view. It's just that we get a Thunder studio. I get a Thunder studio about 10 a.m. and we start our pre-production and all that stuff. And if we want to plot something or do something, a true surprise, like you guys have watched the shows, we've had a couple of surprises on the program. We're like, oh yeah, but if we had people there and the car pulled in, people would be taking pictures, breaking that news if someone showed up or anything like that. And that totally takes away from the fun of putting it together. And again, like I said, I may be the exception. And then there's a guy, I pulled the page up when I wrote the first comment. He says, well, that's a pretty ignorant thing to say.
I saw that.
And then I said, thanks for helping me make my point. Because that's exactly what I'm talking about. It's not who gives a damn what this guy has to say. This is my page. I said I just put a thought. He came into my world and started talking his. I don't care. That's like on the NWA fan page. I'm constantly getting into it with people on there because they know better and they this and it's like, no, just spend the money, enjoy the show, critique it, fantastic. But the moment people get so upset, it's like Beetlejuice all of a sudden. Someone will say my name and I'll pop up, and then they get so mad because I stole them and I put it in there. It's like, nope, you're wrong. Oh, David, you're so arrogant. You're so like, no, I'm not. I was there. That's not what they're. No, not at all. No, Blue Demon was a horrible champion. Were you watching the NWA when Blue Demon was champion? Probably not. Let me tell you, I made $1.2 million with Blue Demon as world champion. So go kick rocks. Blue Demon
Rob,
was a fantastic champion.
Rob, you got to be sitting there and you're listening to Dave talk about this, and Dave makes an excellent point. I mean, the fans do, like, their interaction like dictates the experience a lot of times. I have loved being there for NWA Power, Dave. Like, I thought that we were all into it and we were having a great time, but I get that you're in a situation where that's not always the case. Is that? I mean, I guess I'll throw to Rob first. Are those the pros and the cons of just having live crowds? Is that like something like
I'm
you
listening.
think? Dave ran away, so now's your chance. Just tell him.
I can. Go ahead. I'm doing the weatherman thing. I left the desk and I'm going to the wall.
but I mean, are those the pros and cons? The things you just accept as a wrestling promoter that you should just deal with?
You asking me or you asking Dave?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
Okay. I was gonna say not so fast, Dave. No, no, Dave. You are a man. You are a man. You know me, man. I asked Dave on private messages for like academic questions, like, hey, should I include this as a footnote? This is a man I respect. This is a guy that, again, like
Rob is like layering. No, I'm just saying, Rob, you're layering like 7 layers of lipstick before you kiss his ass, before you just like say what you think. Like,
hey, I'm finna do it. This is a man. I'm just going to acknowledge this is a man who knows that he just walked in the other room.
He said he could hear you,
still hear
Rob.
me, Dave?
Don't try to dodge it, Rob. Say what you think.
Use your words. You're a doctor, right?
This is a man who knows, who's forgotten more than I know about wrestling. So let me throw that out there first. And I know you heard that. But my point is this, that Dave, you come from a different aspect. Okay. You come from a different angle. And just because you have a universal perspective doesn't mean you have a more accurate perspective. Okay. You are coming from the ownership production thing, but wrestling is at first and foremost a spectator industry, a performance industry. And when it comes to whether fans should or shouldn't, this is where I think that, you know what, I'm a professional educator. Right now we're dealing with COVID-19. Is it easier without school students in the building? Yeah. But is it better? It's not better. It's not better without fans. This is a thing where, like, as an educator, I don't get an opinion on this. As a producer, you don't really get an opinion on this. Fans make this, and without fans, it's nothing. It's like the cast of
That's the offices of the United Wrestling Network. Like, Dave, get off this.
Get out of there right now. Get out of there.
Do not.
I forgot what I was saying, man.
It's like TV.
You were saying we need fans, and you're right. But also,
Yes.
we're in a new world.
You need live fans.
I'm talking to 3 live people right now all over the country. And our programming goes out all over the world. You know, the New Japan Strong programming is not any less entertaining because there aren't people there.
It is less entertaining because there aren't people. Yes, it is.
Not for us. Come on, it's a Japanese show. They sit on their heads
I'm just
anyways.
a mark, bro. I'm just a mark. I'm just telling you what I see when I watch AEW, UWN, WWE without fans. It's not as entertaining. I'm just telling you from my perspective.
Well,
That's
maybe
an
you're watching
opinion.
for the wrong reasons.
I'm watching because I'm looking to be entertained, and I guarantee
Are you
there's
looking
not
to
a
see the
wrestler that I
people's
know.
interaction, or are you looking to see what's happening in the ring? The thing that I love the most is the fact that you can pay attention. That you can pay attention to everything that's happening in the ring.
Exactly.
And that's what I like
everything
about it.
that's happening in the whole context. It's been that since the beginning, Dave. Since they started in the Carney circuit, selling to marks. It's been all about the marks. I'm a mark. It's been about me.
Well, it was about the marks in the beginning to take your money, which we saw every Tuesday night in the bundles.
It is, but I'm gonna tell you, I'm willing to pay $20 for a 4-show bundle without fans. I'm willing to pay $100 for a 4-show bundle with fans.
Well, wait a minute. Let me jump in here because Dave, you know what, you know, I love you, but I'm asking legitimately. So you just said that you just said that it is about the marks and it was at first and to buy the bundles and that sort of thing. But doesn't that strike you as like a little odd that you would like put out something like that on Facebook? Like,
No.
And then you're also trying to get people to purchase your event?
Nope, because it's not going to stop them anyways. It's just facts. We know what the numbers are. We see it every day. People will still purchase it. It is my opinion. It's not the opinion of the company, although I own the company, but it's still not the opinion of the company. There's tons of people within the company who would love to see people there. With COVID, I'm in Southern California, so not only do I have the state, and I'm in Los Angeles County and the city of Los Angeles. So as of tomorrow, we have a mandate to stay at home, like for 30 days. We're going back to the beginning. So there's over 1 million cases in Los Angeles, and so the show that we shoot, we're actually on the border of LA County and Long Beach, which is a different city. It's a part of LA County, but the city of Long Beach is not a part of the city of Los Angeles. So the studio is actually an essential building because they shoot news there and some other things and some of the stages. Univision has a lot of production out of there. So we have always been zoned to have fans from the very beginning, and I chose against it. One, I couldn't trust people. Just, you can't. We could ask people to get tests or whatever, but unless we were administering them ourselves, and they're $150 a piece, so I'm not going to do that just so that I can have some goose sitting in the front going, no, I'm not doing that. I just feel that the programming has not waned. In fact, I think the talent has been able to perform better, and people pay more attention to what we're doing. We were going to do the WWE thing at the Thunderdome months ago at the Ocean View Pavilion. We were studying how to do fans virtually over the air through monitors throughout. So we have all those TVs going around the theater. We were going to bring those down and stack them and have faces just like this long before the WWE did it. Even though it's not news, once we saw the NBA do it, I knew everybody was going to do it. So, people are poison right now. You can't touch them. You can't be by them. And 100%, I'm cool with them not being there. Will they be back? They will totally be back. And do I want them back? Absolutely, I'd want to welcome back.
Well, it sounds like you don't care. So that's what I'm curious about.
Read it again. Comprehension's a hell of a thing. I said I may be the exception, but I don't miss fans at shows. It doesn't say I don't want them.
You just don't miss them, is what you're saying. Like you're fine either way.
If you
cool.
Remember, I don't know how many powers you guys are at or weren't at. I think you guys are at all of them.
I think I was at everyone, but yeah.
If you remember, during some of the warm-ups, people wouldn't move, people wouldn't take seats. I would get real upset with them. I wouldn't start the show. I think I kicked someone out or asked Maureen to escort someone out before we could start. At the Championship Wrestling from Hollywood shows, you don't know how many hundreds of people over the years I have kicked out of that audience because I'm not going to put up with it. I'm not going to sit there for 3 hours and just for some guy to be a goof. I'm not going to do that.
So you don't think
that's part of the risk of like being in a performance art? You have to deal with people. Anytime you're dealing with
my background too, as you guys know, I started early on in guest service at Disney. So, do you know how many people I've kicked out at Disneyland? Thousands.
That's right. But what is Disney
for the same thing? The exact same thing. Being an ass. Sure.
And that's a percentage, but what is Disney without the consumer? You know what I mean? I mean, there's no you can't.
Again, I'm not saying that people shouldn't be there. There's a point where you have to stop and say that's it.
Let me ask you this:
your day.
So let me jump in if I could, Rob. If I could, let me just clarify something. I just want to first of all cool it down. Like between you two. No, I'm curious. Dave, it sounds like what you're saying is that it's not that you don't appreciate, like you don't like fans being there. It's just that you're willing to make sacrifices so that it's the best possible experience for all fans. Is that the impression that I'm getting?
You guys get impacted sitting there. If it weren't live and it was taped and we had to do something else, and like a 3-hour taping day turns into a 5-hour day because someone was dumb, or it messes the whole thing up. And there's times where we have to send. I mean, you guys don't see all this because you only see what's edited and what's on television, whether it's my programming or anybody else's. But whether I was at Impact or the WWF stuff or the WCW stuff I've done, or Memphis Wrestling, or whatever I've done over the years, we have always had these issues where it's like, no, go back. This doesn't work. The people aren't into it. The music wasn't right. This was bad. There's so many pieces that go into what we're doing. That's one of the great things that I really like about the Primetime show, is that it's live and we can't go back, and we have to do it the right way the first time. And once we figured out how to make the damn thing work after the first episode, it worked perfect, and today it's virtually been flawless. There's a couple of hiccups along the way, but it's been great. And I feel if fans were there, and if we made a mistake, or if we did this, or we ran a tape and the sound didn't go into the studio, or they get all over us for that. And it's just like a technical thing. It's like, really? Like, I dare you to make microwave popcorn and not burn it.
Yeah, I when I'm hearing this, if I could just jump in too again. Sorry, Rob. I'm not trying to block you out here. I promise. It's just that, and I'll throw to you next. It's that I think I hear what Dave is saying, that he's just gotten used to the aspect of not having fans there, and it's okay either way. He can deal with it. And I don't know, like as a movie fan, a huge movie fan, and I run Cinema Shock, the movie podcast. We love movies in theaters, but theaters have increasingly grown obnoxious. And so, like, you're watching a movie and like somebody's like on their freaking cell phone, or somebody's baby screaming in another corner, or whatever's happening. And so, like, you want there to be like some kind of control mechanism to like keep it like, can we just have the theater experience for this movie? And I feel like it sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, Dave, but like, I think you're saying like, you just want that for the fans if they are going to be there. You just want people to be there to experience the event and to participate and enjoy it as it is. And so
because the performers, whether you're a ring announcer or even a camera operator, like, how many camera operators get chastised because they're standing in front of somebody? Like, now they get to do their job, and they can run around and they can get shots very cinematic. Like, they can actually do their job, and they're not stuck to a corner, and they're not, sequestered. They can actually do their job. It's really cool from that aspect. We've added cameras. The Primetime show shoots with 6 or 7 cameras at times. Hollywood is shot with 5. What do we have? Power 4, I believe. We had 4. Then we added that handheld, so I guess we ended up with 5. But if you remember, those cameras, granted they were the big studio cameras, those things were stuck. They really couldn't move, and a lot of that had to do with, and I did get into arguments with other people at Power about, let's put cameras on everybody's shoulders because it would make life so much easier. These guys paid this money, now they're being obstructed by a view. They see a guy's belt loop forever. Like, there's all those pieces, and then us as promoters, we do hear about it later, and we're asking people to sit there and fill that spot so it's not an empty seat. And then we're not willing to give a refund. Oh, here's a T-shirt to make your life better. I'm sorry you spent $120 and you had to stare at some camera operators back for 4 hours for 3 days. Like, it's not fair to anybody to do that. I'm not saying kill it. It's just there's a way to do it, and now we have to figure out how to do it all over again when the world opens back up, because when people like to say, boy, I can't wait for things to get back to normal, there is not going to be a normal. There is not going to be the same that we're used to. Vaccines or not. The precaution for a long time, I feel, is going to be there. We're going to probably have to live with this for a good 5-6 years from now. The whether it's a positive or negative effect of this. It's gonna take a long time. Like my whole thing was making sure the television side is full and it looks great and it looks successful. And now we're gonna go into these tapes and these arenas and buildings, and we have to seat people every 3 seats, and you're gonna have 3 chairs and 3 chairs and 3. And it's gonna look hideous, But that's what we're gonna have to do.
Rob, I've stepped on you too much, and we've obviously covered a lot of ground here since the last time you got a chance to talk. So please address any of the stuff. I mean, because I feel like I'm coming to an understanding with Dave that I'm like, I get it. It's a frustrating business. It's part of it, and I get you're saying you don't miss it, but we'll say what you got. Say what you got, Rob.
I mean, I guess I understand that Dave is not saying that he hates fans, and nobody's saying that at all. He loves fans. When we go to the power tapings,
I love some fans.
Right. And
those I absolutely despise.
Those are the ones you love are the ones that you're playing to. I mean, it's like I'm an educator. My wife's a medical professional. She doesn't go into the office every day to have some meth head tell her, no, I can't do a CAT scan because I'm freaking seeing fairies, That's not who she's engaging, but she's going to serve them, As an educator, I don't go in there every day looking for the kid who wants to get in a fight with somebody. That's not who I'm serving. But wrestling is fundamentally a consumer commodity. We're talking about all these technical things, filling in seats to make it more appealing for viewers, to make it more appealing for the fans. And if we're saying that, look, we don't want rotten fans, then that's one thing. But to say we don't want fans back, that's a whole other thing, because then what do you exist for? There's not a pro wrestler that I know that does not love to perform before a live audience. I mean, maybe except Danny Limelight or somebody like that, There's not a pro wrestler that I know that doesn't live for that pop that they give. Are there bad fans? Of course, but we don't. Those are the outliers that we don't build the model for. Those are the exceptions. Those are the
not to throw anybody under the bus, but Danny Limelight agreed with Dave Marquez on the.
That's what I was saying. That's why I said that.
Oh, so do a lot of people, Mr. Kennedy. I mean, there's if you go through the like list, there's a lot of familiar faces that you're going to know, because it's like, why do they miss fans? They miss fans because they can't sell them a T-shirt. That's why they miss fans. I don't necessarily know that they miss them from being there, because the pantomime and the performance is certainly still there. We know from the energy in the studio that they're doing something right. It's not, and the interesting thing to me, as from a promoter, from a booker, from a writer, from a director, whatever you want to call me this week, it's when you have fans there, it's more paint by number. These matches that people are doing without fans, they're being able to, there's no expectation. They don't have to meet anybody's expectation that's there and that's paid for that seat. They can actually take their time. Like, I had a match, I can't remember who it was, but not that long ago, and I told them to put him in a bear hug. I said, use the bear hug, squeeze them down, whatever. And they both laughed at me. They're like, a bear hug? Like, there's no one here to talk shit on you that you're doing a bear hug. No one. Do it and watch what happens. And a lot of the reaction online was, wow, they did a bear hug. That was pretty cool.
Right. I'm with you, Dave. I'm just saying, I don't think that qualification, though, I don't think there's a profession in the world where that doesn't apply. I don't think that as a professional educator, as a medical professional, as a checkout clerk at Food Lion, that you don't have to read your demographic. That's just part of it. And to say that,
but those are some of it is mandatory. Pro wrestling isn't mandatory. You have to buy food. You have to go to
no, it's not. It's right. It's consumer oriented.
You don't have to go to wrestling. And the fact that
you're right.
And the fact
only fans go to wrestling.
And the fact that you see other professional sports going that way too, as ridiculous as cutout heads and stands and everything else, it's like, we don't mind.
No,
I still run.
They want fans.
I still, all of us still run, upwards of 16 minutes of commercials. There's still an income, and we're doing okay. Would we do better with a couple shows, or we get a couple hundred people there? Sure, we could. But as for us, my company, we're not in the negative. We're doing okay, and I just hope that state keeps us open, operating. That's my big concern at the moment. You're muted, dude. Yeah, Gary, you're muted.
Oh, let me jump in here. I'm so sorry, Dave. I'm just trying to cut in here on you bastards. This conversation could go on for like 2 hours. We'll save that for our Patreon that doesn't exist yet.
Oh,
But you guys
hold on now, Gary. Hold on. We got a belt. We
do. Because I want to show you what a real world championship looks like.
Oh, what?
That's right.
What? Oh, look at that.
Including red china. See that?
It's beautiful.
That's
it is
a beautiful
Look
belt,
at that, Rob. You talk all that shit. Dave Marquez hears it.
That's
Look
right.
at him.
That's a beautiful belt, man, and a worthy
The 10
championship.
pounds of gold would never have went to China if it wasn't for me.
You're right, man.
Did it.
Those
He
years
did
in
it.
Mexico, that was me. Those years
And
in
I'm gonna tell you
Canada,
right now,
that was me. Those years in Europe outside Gary Steele, that was me.
and I'm on the record week after week talking about how important Dave Marquez is to this, whether we agree on things or not. You're the man, Dave, and I will never say you're not the man.
I think if enough people sign up, like if we create a Patreon, enough people sign up, and we can afford to pay Dave to do this, we'll just have a steady Rob versus Dave conversation, and I think that'll be good for everybody.
Just a daily live stream.
Daily live stream of those guys arguing until one of them's like, you know what, F you, I gotta go to the bathroom and get something to eat, and like, it'll never end. Dave, I do have a couple of questions, if I could, before we let you go, because you've been so generous with your time. You mentioned this, and we got a question from JCal. So I did want to ask this. He did ask this, like,
he's on my tail for 20 years.
He did ask a question, though, that you brought up that was relevant. Do you think the stay-at-home orders can prevent you guys from, like, could it stop production right now? Like, what's going on there?
No, sure it can. There's a lot going on. Watch the show tomorrow. I mean, there's a lot that's going into our programming, and a lot of this will be answered tomorrow. But man, it's I'm always worried all the way around because we're shooting the Strong program. We have Hollywood, bits and pieces of Arizona. I mean, that show's so messed up right now. We were just getting ready to shoot Future Stars of Wrestling with their own original show in Las Vegas, which was going to take our TV spot that Hollywood is currently on the CW station in Las Vegas. That's been stopped in Nevada. They're shut down at the moment. They're having a huge COVID problem there. Same thing goes for our Memphis version of the program. We were slated by this point to have done an anniversary show at a minor league baseball field. That was going to be a television special on CW 30. And so that was cut down because of COVID. And from there, we were ready to do, Championship Wrestling from Memphis as a studio show in Memphis at the TV station, and it was all shut down. So we were ready to do a lot of stuff, and that the power program could certainly affect it. I mean, we're not supposed to leave the house.
Is that what happened with the title tournament as well? Like just the COVID stuff that like
no. I mean, COVID hit us pretty. We haven't had it as everybody else. The interesting thing is we find out about COVID stuff before they get here, which is always good. It's unfortunate that they're coming from another company and another show, which means there's more people that may have been affected by it somewhere else. And depending on what part of the country you're from, some people don't take it as serious as others. So it's absolutely a real thing. I think we could all agree on that. And cases could go all over the place. In California, we are over 1 million people who have it. I live in Los Angeles. There's 9 million people in Metro LA alone. So, you have all of those folks in my vicinity, in my radius already, that I see it all the time. I have a hospital up here and I have a hospital behind me, and all day for like the last I'd say month and a half. All I hear are ambulances all day long. And there's no way that it's car accidents. So it's pretty bad here. And we have to think, safety first on our end. There's a good chance. There's a real good chance.
Is COVID why you let J Cal in the building and not us?
No, you guys could come.
I'm just
you guys can come anytime. There's 2 airports. LAX is right there, and Long Beach Airport is right there. Come anytime.
I just had to give you some hell about that, but I am curious.
You guys are always welcome, no matter what politics are.
Yeah, thank you so much. Trust me, Rob's operating on a different level than all of us, so it's good. We love him though, like that's why we love him. All right, so last thing, I'm just curious. We had the discussion today. I don't know how much of the show you've heard before now, but we ranked our prize fight wrestling moments of the week, and we ended up with Fred Rosser and why did I just forget his name? Shah Davari as the top match of the week. We thought we enjoyed that match, and we felt like as semifinalists, both of those guys, like that was a contenders matchup if there ever was one. If Chris Dickinson, where are we at with Chris Dickinson? What can you tell us about that situation?
Well, he's recovering. He's getting close to being able to come back. There's other bookings and things that he has to get ready for to be a part of too. And Chris is the type of guy that's going to push through. Okay, sport, we're almost done. Relax. This dog. No attention to him. He's the type of guy that's going to push through injury, everything else. And the other bookings that I know about that he has are pretty big. So, and big opportunities on top of what we're providing him weekly. So, he's doing everything he can to get better. But it's COVID, man. Like just this Tuesday coming up, there's 3 people we had to pull off the show already for Tuesday because they are now positive.
God, that sucks so bad.
Last week too. It keeps moving. There's always something. A referee was at this other show where they were in Las Vegas. They came back. They were in Central California on some lucha show where no one gave a damn, and they came back and like everyone's infected, and it's really tough to operate right now, especially when you're doing episodic shows like we do.
Well, as people that we love and support you, Dave. We love doing our UWA Primetime Live recaps, but we also we've entered, partly because of your show, we've entered into this realm of like we're just trying to do this as pro wrestling rather than this is the NWA. But as NWA fans originally, like does that the last couple of weeks there's a lack of NWA action? Is that on? Like, I mean, just what do you attribute that to? It's just not in your hands, or like?
Well, 100% not in my hands. I have no control over any of the booking from the NWA side. We get a phone call. They ask if they can do something, and we say yes or no. We have the time, or we don't have the time. It's not bad. It's just what it is. We get a call, and that's that. Aaron Stevens is a major part of our program behind the scenes. So he's at every show.
Yeah.
So watch the credits tomorrow night. You'll see his name. But yeah, that's on the NWA and what they want to do and how they're preparing for the future of their Shockwave program and hopefully getting back to power.
Okay. Well, final question. I swear to God, I'll leave you alone and you can go on about your business and we'll throw to our fans here in the chat. But as fans of independent wrestling that we are, I've had people hit me up like the Koloffs, and like we are huge fans of Mission Pro Wrestling. And we've seen acts like Maddie Rinkowski, Rachel Rose, people that have showed up on your show like Lacey Ryan, La Rosa Negra is over there. Thunder Rosa has been on your show, but she's also on this thing. Like, we're huge fans of Mission Pro Wrestling. How do we get more Mission Pro Wrestling people over to UWN? Who do they talk to? How does that happen? What's the process that we need to?
Rosa knows how to get a hold of us. But it's pretty simple. I mean, all you do is send us a note. There's info@hollywoodwrestling.com is the email that goes straight to the creative team. I mean, you got a hold of me the way you got a hold of me. I mean, my Facebook page and all my social media is
I guess I'm just thinking,
private.
Dave, it's
very
like
open.
if we could offer like some secret tips to the independent wrestler out there that might be catching this thing, that like message us secretly. Like,
I mean, there's several ways. If you're going to be in Southern California, get a hold of us first and foremost. We are on a budget, so our flights have to really. This is going to come out way wrong, and I'm not trying to belittle anyone, but we have to make those fly-ins worth it. Mike Bennett is not in Los Angeles. Dickinson is not in Los Angeles. These people are not here, so we have to look at what we have and stack show. Davey Boy Smith is not in Los Angeles. So. Not that female talent is any less. It's just I think we've done a hell of a job showcasing female wrestling.
No, you have, and it sounds perfectly
far more. And I want to say this too: far more than I ever have, probably in my entire career.
But people have to prove they're worth it. Like, there has to be some way to
not
show.
Necessarily. We've had some shit on the show.
Oh, damn. I was saying, you've got, like, as far as women's wrestling goes, you've got Mission Pro out there doing phenomenal things. What you're doing right now on UWN Primetime Live has been the best women's wrestling, bar none, of any show out there. No questions asked.
Well, it's interesting you say that. Like, in the beginning, there wasn't much women's wrestling on the card as we first started putting the shows together. Business partner Steve Bash, I don't know if you guys know that name or not, but Bash Boxing, they just did a thing out here with Wild Card Boxing here in Hollywood for NBC Sports that was on. I think they're doing it again this Thursday night, live boxing in the parking lot for NBC. But Steve is like the top ranked boxing Southern California promoter. And so he doesn't come from wrestling at all. And he's looking at things from totally different eyes, I got to tell you. A lot of things we've done on the program were because of his suggestion. And we're so stuck in the wrestling forest that at times, you need someone like that to come and tell you, like, no, you might want to do this. Or, no, you might want to do that. Or there's this one female talent over here. I look at it as a promoter, and I'm like, well, do we really fly someone in, or can we find this person more local, or how can we do this more economically, more efficiently?
Do you fly Lindsay Snow in to face Ruby Reyes again? Yes, you do.
You got to, Dave. You got to.
Well, luckily we have some flight miles.
I need to see more of that.
You're going to see that again, more in 2020 for sure. But again, and part of the reason why in the beginning we weren't going to have a lot of female wrestling was because on the Championship Wrestling from Hollywood program, we just started a women's championship program on that TV. So we kind of wanted to keep it there, not have it cross over, because as an example, Lacey Ryan is the Las Vegas champion, but on the Hollywood show, we don't say that because there's no sympathy there if people already know that she has a title and she's, you know what I'm saying? So it's that Andre the Giant Hulk Hogan thing where WrestleMania 3, no one knew that these two have wrestled, 100 times in 7 years or something. So that's why that was one of my reasonings of not to do that. And female wrestling, but I'm so happy we have.
We're gonna push
very
people to
frank.
Championship Wrestling from Hollywood and that sort of thing as well. Like because I love that show. What you guys just did with Jordan Clearwater. Like I love that guy.
Right.
Like I'm a big fan of that guy, and I'm super happy for him, and I want to see more of him.
We had a big creative change on the show. You know, for 4 or 5 years, someone else was writing the program, and in the beginning, it was really good. I thought it was very fresh and whatnot. Now we have a new creative and a new executive producer, Nick Bonanno, and so they're taking it in a completely different direction. I want to say, I think it feels fresh. I think it's more episodic. And there's a lot more fresher faces on there than you would have seen probably a year or 2 years and a half ago. It's night and day. You know, Ray Rosas has always been a main event player to me, but you know, in the past, he's kind of been there, and it's not for anything else. When we lost Peter Avalon to AEW, that kind of put us in a flux because Peter was the program, and so now it's finally found some legs here, coming up almost 9-10 months with new creative and whatnot. And I concentrated more on the prime time show and let new people put some ideas in between Nico and Nick and Aaron and whatnot. It's a completely different program.
All right, Dave. Well, we won't keep you any longer. People need to check out United Wrestling Network's Primetime Live. It's available on Fight TV. You have to watch it. We do recaps of every single show. You don't want to miss out.
Direct TV too.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
And around the world, it's on in Spanish too. If anyone's watching this,
and I say all that, and we've had people contact us. They're like, "No, I'm watching it on demand," and we're like, "Oh, I didn't know." All right, sorry. And because I think the other day it was,
buddy.
Yeah,
real TV. I'm not stuck on the internet like all these other places out there that have to be stuck on the internet.
Listen, dude, that was not a knock. Like if it can't show up on my Roku, I generally don't give a shit. And so like I don't care. And so
you go
that's
find
tough.
that new Lucha stuff on Crackle. Enjoy that.
Yeah, there it is. Good luck. But no, and Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, which you can watch on the YouTubes and the Fight TV. So
and 300 TV stations all over the country. Some are
I was about to say that, Dave.
Disney-owned stations. There's 300 TV stations. I have to say that because there ain't nobody else on 300 TVs, not even Ring of Honor, and they own the TV stations.
That's a good point. That's your man right there, Dave Marquez. Dave, thank you so much for actually coming here to address that. Not a lot of people would do that, and it's a cool thing that you actually hung out with us, and we are forever grateful to you and all you've done for this show, man. You have been the best guy. Well, thank you so much for doing this.
No problem. Anytime.
At CWFH Marquez, right there. You can follow that man, and he is putting out
if you're looking for straight wrestling stuff, follow the wrestling handles. If you don't want to hear my personal opinion on things, don't follow.
He'll throw out some politics. So will Dr. Rob. So you've all gotten used to it.
I don't have to talk politics for at least 3 years, so I'm good.
He's good, man. Hey, Mr. Martin, can we get one more look at that beautiful belt?
Absolutely. Are you kidding me?
Oh, let's throw it up. I will say the chat blew up for the belt. So
we'll start on this. I'll tell you a little history about the title if you'd like. So, Rob Schomburg did the side plates for us. He's the WWE artist. And so there's Ric Flair and Harley Race. And the reason they're on there is because I feel that's where television wrestling began. True television wrestling that we know today.
Nice.
And then when you pull out here, there are the flags. And the reason these flags are represented is because these are countries that I know that I'll go back to and do things in, and we'll actually go there. The center globe, and you'll notice on all of our belts, we use the same globe. This isn't a traditional globe. This is the Unisphere. And the Unisphere is in Queens, New York. And it's on the site of the 1964-65 World's Fair. And the theme of the fair was peace through understanding. And so I kind of did an Inoki thing and kind of threw that in there. The same thing with these guys. I think they're called the Star Launchers or something. And they're also in Queens at the World's Fair site. And then when you continue to pan over, you see Colt Cabana and Adam Pearce in the Hollywood ring, because this is where I believe we got our feet and started our wrestling television. So that is the United Wrestling Network World Championship.
Folks, you are not going to get a better detail of. I mean, you have to be a part of this show to see that sort of thing. And my God, Dave Marquez. I mean, you're laughing it off, Dave, but this is cool stuff that these people appreciate. And despite the discussion on fans, I mean, these kind of fans appreciate a beautiful belt like that. They appreciate the kind of thought that was put behind it. Rob, I know you got something else to say. Go ahead and put it in there.
Say, man, I love you, Dave, and I appreciate the discussion. You're always very considerate and willing to engage, and I appreciate you showing us the championship belt, man. And wherever we see eye to eye or not, man, you know we have the highest regard for you and for what you've done for pro wrestling, and that's not going to change for anything.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, Dave. Thank you so much. Take care of that dog, Dave. You got
I don't know
things
what the hell his problem is. He's eaten. He's walked. He's been in the back. I held him. He just wants me. And then watch. I'll try to get him, and he won't let me. Here, come here. He was raised by wrestlers, and he acts like wrestlers. He's a tough guy, but the moment you try to do something for him or with him, he's like, "Oh no, what are you? What? You're gonna take more money out of my pocket? What?"
No, that sounds accurate. That sounds like when I tried to throw together these shows. Thank you so much, Dave. We appreciate you. We are eternally grateful to you. And like the chat's blowing up. They love the belt. We are excited to see what happens with the United Wrestling Network World Heavyweight or World Championship, I guess. Rob keeps saying it's open weight. What? Yeah, you are. Yeah,
I've been waiting 9 years for this damn thing to be crowned, and now people's noses are falling off and stuff.
Listen, people, not everybody's going to come into a direct attack from the Doc Rob Stinson about his comments on Facebook, and Dave Marquez showed up. Here he is, and he addressed it. And I think we're all cool now, so we appreciate that, Dave. You have a good rest of your evening, sir, and we're eternally grateful.
Okay.
All right, so Dave Marquez, ladies and gentlemen, Dave Marquez was here, and he is the man. We love what that guy does. And I'm sorry for those of you who are showing up late and you missed that conversation because it was fantastic. Like I loved this talk. Rob, you did well, buddy. You you maintained your cool. You talked to the man, and you guys obviously had a difference of opinion, but you had a legitimate, I think, discussion, a powerful discussion, and it was an excellent debate. The kind of things people need to see, different points of view, batting back and forth to each other. Nobody getting to be to the point that they're a shithead. It's exactly what it should be.
That was fun, man. Again, I mean, what?
Rob, your laugh, it was just a little bit.
It got a little creepy, didn't it?
Yeah. It's like a little bit. You laughed a little bit too long. I don't know what it was.
Oh man,
we're talking about Dave Marquez here, man, and he's outspoken. You know, he's outspoken. He is. That's part of who he is. That's part of his charm. That's part of why we like him. That's part of why he's revolting at sometimes. But no one, and
revolting. That is it.
I'm using hyperbole here. This is a guy whose name is etched in pro wrestling history. He is intrinsically connected to the NWA, the greatest pro wrestling entity of all time, as you always say, Gary. And he's someone that must be listened to. And I understand what he's saying. I get where he's coming from. I guess my whole point was, you know, we're talking about. I think we're mixing concepts here. We're talking about what's easier versus what's better. It's easier for fans not to be there, but it's better for fans to be there. That's where I'm going to leave it at.
Yeah, it's a tough thing. All right, so we've only got a few minutes left to go. The putting it over stuff, I'm gonna throw to you, Rob. Like, we're gonna jump in there. That we do if we got lucky enough to have a guest like Dave Marquez, which is an off the cuff thing that we can't always expect, but Dave Marquez was willing to join us. So here we are, Rob. Go ahead and put it over.
I love it, man.
I know you got something positive to talk about, buddy. What do you got?
Positive, man. It's been a great show. I'm gonna hear what I'm gonna put over. Okay, we just watched Survivor Series. We saw the last official WWE in-ring appearance of an active Undertaker. Right? Did we not?
Supposedly.
Yeah, I mean that's what he said.
Here's what I'm gonna put over. I'm gonna shock you all because I'm about to put over something WWE did.
Ooh, all right, I'm listening.
I'm talking about none other than the Broken Skull Sessions, Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Undertaker. This Joker is about 2 hours long. You want to see The Undertaker like peeled back, unclothed, bare for the whole world to see. Right, look right into the man's soul, right into every nook and cranny and crevice. That's what you're about to see. I love this. I don't know that I want to see that, Rob. Oh, you do. Trust me. My wife is not even a wrestling fan. She indulges us. She indulges the trio. She indulges the NWA. She got a little crush on all this. I ain't gonna lie, but
so do you. It brings y'all together.
The hard part about your relationship with Aldous is he's got to like dodge the weird threesome you're always constantly trying to throw at him.
Anyway,
he left
too long again. I know he left too long. This guy's way. Let's make it happen, baby.
I'm like,
oh Jesus! All right.
Let me watch this whole thing, man. It's close to. It's a little over 2 hours long. I'm not gonna lie, but it doesn't feel like it. If you haven't seen it yet, watch it on WWE Network. Broken Skull Sessions. Network. This is episode 10.
And I keep seeing it pop up.
You gotta watch it, man.
I want to see it. I'm interested. It's weird, Undertaker throwing up in these things. I don't know if I'm ready yet to accept it. I'm gonna jump in here with my put it over. And that's going to be the Roman Reigns story. I hate to go like all WWE on you guys that are sticking around with us right now, but like if I could just say that I think Roman Reigns has legitimately one of the best stories in wrestling right now. And I would not say that if I didn't 100% believe it. I said on our last show, I believe, I talked a little bit about how, like, I always wanted Roman to turn heel. Everybody wanted Roman to turn heel. I don't think any of us believed that Roman turning heel would legitimately turn him into one of the best heels we've seen in the past 10 to 15 years. Roman Reigns is the real deal. He is good. He's good in the ring. He's fun to watch. And the way that he carries himself, especially with Paul Heyman at his side, it is freaking fantastic. That depth of character that he portrays on screen, including this past week on Primetime Live, on Friday Night SmackDown. I wish he'd show up on Primetime Live, but on Friday Night SmackDown, he was there, and that conversation he had with Jey Uso, where they talked about Survivor Series, and he was having this discussion about, like, how do your kids look at you? Because you don't look at me in the back like some bitch just sitting around waiting for a payday, just trying to have a good time, just hoping I get called up. You look at me like a man who's earning his paycheck, who's earning titles. Like you, that's how you look at me. And he's like, so why would you want your kids to look at you in any different way? SmackDown, dude, SmackDown was legit. And I would not say that. You've heard me talk so much trash about SmackDown. But as far as the Roman Reigns segments, there's no way Vince McMahon's involved. There's no way. I can't believe it, because this character, the depth of character that Roman Reigns carries, that he's like telling Jey Uso these things, and Jey Uso's like dealing with this like stress and like snapping, like attacking oh God, who does he attack? The Otis. Like he like goes crazy on Otis at one point. Later on tries to go crazy on Kevin Owens. Like, just that Roman Reigns is telling him, is like, do you want to be a man? Do you want to be respected? Do you want to be a real head of the table? Like, this sort of thing that Roman Reigns is carrying, like even watching the monitor in the back and the way Paul Heyman is watching it with him, and then looking to Roman Reigns to see how he's going to react when Kevin Owens turns the tables on Jey Uso and starts beating Jey Uso. It's like, Roman, you want violence? Like, I'm here and I'm afraid of no man. I don't bow down to any man, including you. And Roman's just staring at the screen, and Paul Heyman's looking at it. And he's like, this is what you did to your family. Like, it's so much good storytelling that I have not seen in the WWE for so long. I don't know what happened over on SmackDown. I don't know who gave up the reins, but there's something happening with that Roman Reigns storyline. That's prize fight wrestling. That's good stuff. That's what we want to see out of professional wrestling. And I'm happy to go ahead and announce that WWE's got me on the Roman Reigns storyline. Will, you got something you want to offer on the Put It Over segment?
Yeah, well, I hate to spoil the WWE Love Fest, but I'm going to go a different direction. This is a little off-brand for our show. I'm going to go a different direction. For me, this week, I'm going to put over Ring of Honor. I really, with kind of the diversification of our show a little bit, and really, I don't want to say taking the blinders off. We've always kind of paid attention to wrestling in general, but I just really had an opportunity this week to jump back into some different promotions and just enjoy it and watch it. And Ring of Honor was one of those. I was a Ring of Honor fan. That was the first promotion that was non-WWE that I really became a fan of back when Cody was there and things like that. So, but been really focused on UWN and NWA exclusively for a while, but jumping back into Ring of Honor, man, I was just blown away at the show this week. I mean, we talked about the EC3 Jay Briscoe match, but one of the things we didn't talk about, I think we might have hinted at it last week a little bit in one of the shows, but Mike Bennett returned to help out Matt Taven in the final match of the night, which was pretty cool. And then they shared an embrace. It was just a really cool moment. I love a big return, a surprise return, and especially one that means something. There's obviously some history between these two guys. We had a chance to sit down and talk with Mike Bennett, and he talked a lot about their real life friendship that they have. So that was really cool to see. But this show, it was an hour long. It was only 3 matches. But each match, they told a story. So they had video package, they had interviews, they had things like that. And for somebody who has not watched Ring of Honor in months, and they've been off the grid, during the pandemic a lot, and to be able to jump back in and to get all this context. I mean, we had the EC3 Jay Briscoe match. We had Jay Lethal versus LSG in a pure wrestling, pure title rules, whatever they call it. But they really set up that match really well. And then we had the Matt Taven Bateman match where Mike Bennett returned. And I'll also say, this was really the first time that I really got to see Quinn McKay, who's kind of the MC of Ring of Honor programming. And she does, I know, their podcast and does a lot of their interviews on YouTube and stuff like that. And she was just killer, man. I mean, she was, we do a lot of putting over of commentary and interviewers and stuff like that. I mean, she's up there on that list for me after watching Ring of Honor this week. So that was just an awesome, time for me, and definitely the highlight of my week in terms of wrestling was getting to jump back into Ring of Honor.
Hey, Will, I'm gonna back you up 100% on this. That Ring of Honor is obviously. I mean, here's the thing. One thing you haven't heard us mention a ton before that we've mentioned on this show is MLW and Ring of Honor. MLW is doing this Opera Cup, and I think it's a super special event. I think it has a lot of potential, and Ring of Honor offers some excellent talent participating in competitive prize fight matches. I think that it's worth your time to consider checking them out. If you got some spare time, listen, we know there's a lot of wrestling. We're here to help you along and tell you the important things. But in Ring of Honor, we've already mentioned right now, I think on this show, 2 things, right? The Jay Briscoe EC3 match. We've also mentioned Mike Bennett's return to help out Matt Taven. And that was a big deal. And it felt like a big deal. And as we'll mention, it felt like a big deal, even if you weren't super familiar with Ring of Honor and the history of Ring of Honor. They did an excellent job throughout the show building up this event, and that and once it happened that Mike Bennett was there. Sure, maybe there was a part of it that we got out of Primetime Live and the challenge with Nick Aldis and stuff, but you really appreciated Mike Bennett showing up and assisting Matt Taven at the end there. It was something special. It was outside of the norm. So I can't recommend enough checking out Ring of Honor and MLW if you can. Both those shows are easy to access. They're free on like Fight TV or MLW's on YouTube. You should definitely.
And they're like an hour each. Like it's not you talk about
100%.
time investment. I mean, it's probably the smallest time investment of any of the promotions if you want to jump in and check it out. I mean, Ring of Honor is free on Fight TV. You can pull it up on your phone, while you're waiting somewhere and just check it out. It's definitely worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. That's a great point. They're an hour each. It's not a lot of commitment for you to just at least, if nothing else, skim through it. Pay attention to the storylines. I think you're going to get drawn in by Ring of Honor and MLW, what they're trying to do right now. Now, we're excited about what's upcoming in the week. If I could, I'll just say it. Like, obviously, we're going to show back up on Monday to hang out with you guys. Raw has...
Wednesday.
I don't know why I said Monday. Sorry. So sorry. Thank you, Will.
That's why I'm here. That's why I'm here to correct you.
We're going to show back up on a Wednesday.
Don't we get a screen for this?
No, Rob. What are you talking about?
Don't we got something we're about to do
Oh, God dang. That we had a graphic for it. Look at that beauty. So book it. This is what's coming up between now and our next show, which is going to be on a Wednesday night at 6 p.m. You got to check it out on Monday night. You got Monday Night Raw. You have to look at that. I mean, the big moments are Randy Orton's going to appear on A Moment of Bliss. The other previewed matches are there is a triple threat #1 contenders match. Keith Lee versus Riddle versus AJ Styles. And, nothing announced, but probably expected. You're going to see some stuff following up between Adam Pearce and Braun Strowman. We got to give props to our boy Adam Pearce. He's a former NWA champion. We'll always love him. He's taken a prominent role over on Monday Night Raw, and we certainly have to respect that. The Hurt Business, they've also got some issues with the New Day. Also got some issues with Riddle, which is in a stupid segment I saw, but we'll not dwell on that for now. Tuesday night, you've got the debut of NWA Shockwave, whatever that is. I mean, the preview I've got here says NWA Shockwave will feature exclusive content and brand new matches every Tuesday night at 6 p.m. It will be presented in collaboration with United Wrestling Network, Primetime Live, and Thunder Studios. Fans interested in viewing the show one day early can get access by supporting the NWA on Patreon, if you didn't know that already. And talent advertised includes Nick Aldis, Thunder Rosa, Eli Drake, Aaron Stevens, Camille, and more. I can tell you that's a generic press release because I don't think everybody knows. Yeah, I don't think everybody... NWA is still pulling some stuff together. We love them, but they're still pulling it together. AEW did already go ahead and release. God bless them. I mean, AEW, that's my God bless them for the week. AEW.
hit the screen.
I'm gonna make you a little bumper video for God bless him. God bless him with Gary.
God bless
him. Gary's God bless him.
It's this week is for AEW Dark, who actually has released the full card for December 1st. You want to know what?
Imagine that.
I know. It's so stupid. AEW Dark released the full card, and it features 17 bouts. I just can't even, like, that blows my mind. Like, even outside
That's
of
several matches.
Yeah, it's multiple matches. So here they are: Tesha Price versus Shada, Adam Priest and Sean Mulata versus
He's
the
going through all 17.
I'm doing
He's
it.
going to say them all. He's going to say them all.
Danny Limelight. Danny Limelight's on there versus Brandon Cutler. Dark Order versus Baron Black and Fuego del Sol, Leva Bates and Alex Gracia. Max
That'll be a good one.
and Aaron Solo. KTP versus Sean Spears. Angel Fashion, VSK, and Sean Donovan versus the Gun Club. George South Jr. and Bobby Wayward versus the Acclaimed Dark Order versus Jurassic Express and Sunny. Wait, it's just like a three-way tag match. Whatever.
Yep.
Anyway, Jurassic Express, Sunny Kiss, and Joey Janela are in that. John Cruz, Peter Avalite, Kylan King, Catalina Perez, Lindsay Snow versus Evilise. That's happening. Lindsay Snow, the American Kaiju. Lady Frost versus Red Velvet Chaos Project, and Alex Chamberlain versus. Wait, you know what? I don't know. Ricky Starks is in action too. Impact Wrestling is happening. That's a thing that's occurring. Willie Max taking on Chris Bay, and of course, UWN Primetime Live is also on Tuesday night. It's the United Wrestling Television Championship match. Levi Shapiro versus Anthony Idol. You're also going to get a chance to see Slice Boogie in his Mets pants take on Davey Boy Smith Jr. And you're also going to get Heather Monroe versus CC Chanel. Probably so much more. I won't delve into any deeper than that because we're going to be back on Wednesday at 6. So we'll tell you all about AEW and NXT for the week leading into it. What else? What else do we have? False Count Anywhere. That was going to be the show, the people telling you stuff from the chat. I don't know. All right. Whiskey Gary is done. Whiskey Gary is set up.
Sounds like he's just getting started.
Whiskey Gary could be just getting started. But
I'm gonna make a Whiskey Gary. I'm gonna make a Whiskey Gary bumper video too. That'll be good.
Yeah, you should.
So everybody knows when he gets here.
Yeah, he's here.
Hey,
there's a lot of wrestling, a lot of great wrestling. I think we previewed it up until through Tuesday night. There's a lot of stuff. We're going to be tuning in to UWN Primetime Live. We're going to be watching AEW Dark. We're going to be watching NWA Shockwave. We'll hit you up for better or worse with what happened on WWE Monday Night Raw. We'll be showing back up on Wednesday at 6 p.m. Guys, what do you have anything else to add to the people, Rob? You look like
yeah. I'm over here like, hey, man.
hey, shut up for a second. Let me talk.
You got to raise your hand.
I just love the irony of it, man. Like normally this, about 20, 25 minutes ago, we'd have thrown to the chat. But because we have Dave Marquez on, we're cutting the fans out.
Dave Marquez don't give a shit about no fan.
Nah, he does. He loves the fans, man. But normally, just so you know, guys, our typical format on Sunday night is the last 20 to 30 minutes is going to be engaging the chat. We felt like it was important to have Marquez on tonight to address that comment. Obviously, every Sunday it's not going to be like that, but just so you know, it's not because we're disregarding the. I'm reading all the comments and I've tried to jump in every once in a while, but you guys, don't give up on us. We're going to draw you guys in on future shows.
No. Listen, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, we appreciate and love and support every single one of you people who love and support us. Like, you guys have been fantastic. The chat is awesome as always. We want to make sure to include you. We're going to have a section called, like, literally, like, we have a whole section called it's all going to be about you guys. You guys in the chat. It's going to be dealing with you. I mean, the trouble with it was this week is that, to give him props, Rob had a Bury It segment that directly for lack of a better word, attacked Dave Marquez, or at least it featured Dave Marquez. It directly addressed a point of Dave Marquez. I reached out to Dave Marquez and said, hey, do you have a comment on this? And he said he would rather show up and directly address all of you people and talk to you and be part of the conversation with you. That's a bigger man than most. Most people would not do that. Most people don't want to be a part of that discussion. Most people just want to say what they say and move on, and they don't give a shit what you think. Dave Marquez did. And so here he was tonight addressing the fans and going head-to-head with the doc, Rob Stinson, discussing his comments on fans participating. And there you go. So I can't, at the end of the day, no matter what we think, I can't say enough nice things about Dave Marquez. He didn't have to be here tonight, and he did do it. He showed up. He showed he appreciates our show enough that he wanted to be a part of it and thought it was worth his time to discuss it here live.
Yeah, and just to reiterate, as we're closing up, stay tuned to social media, Twitter, things like that. We're gonna be trying to be more interactive throughout the week as well. Give you guys throwing some polls out there and getting some interaction. Probably putting out some hashtags that you guys can use to ask us questions or point us to matches or promotions that you want us to talk about, and just kind of continue to enrich the pro wrestling community on social media throughout the week. So not just when we're on here streaming, trying to kind of reignite everyone on Twitter.
Well, the kids are saying now pound signs. That's what the kids are saying.
Yeah.
Nobody's saying
pound
that.
signs.
But to Will's point, I mean, a great thing to tackle really quick would be that if you are following along with us on social media, anytime you see a match you love or whatever, we're super interactive. DM us, hit us up. Like, you got to check this match out. You got to see this thing on wrestling. Whatever stands out to you in professional wrestling, try to think of it as, if we're going to make this a welcome community to you all, who I know a lot of you all are fans of professional wrestling already, and you have the context of like years and years of pro wrestling. But if you want people to love the thing that you love, the trick is what we believe. I think I can speak for us definitively. We think that we've got to welcome in a new side of professional wrestling, people that don't have all the history but would love to be a part of the conversation. And all you've got to do is work your hardest to make them a part of the conversation. So send us all of the stuff you see during the week. DM us, email us at thenwapod@gmail.com. We're probably going to be changing that because this is pro wrestling. But all of this stuff, DM us, hit us up individually. You have all of our stuff at This Is Gary Horde, at This Is Dr. Stinson, at Hey It's Will. You can see all the things. Hit us with all of the stuff you think is valuable information, particularly great things that are happening in the professional wrestling world. This week, coming up, we're starting over on Monday. So hit us with it. Tell us what we should look at. Tell us what we should pay attention to. Tell us what you think is worth someone new jumping into professional wrestling. Like, what should they see to be part of the conversation? That's the trick, I think. And you tell us all of that. I promise you, we're taking it all into consideration. Let's make this a community that is the biggest, best wrestling community that there is on the planet today. A group of people that love professional wrestling and just want it to succeed and be better. Guys, do you have anything else you want to offer to that?
No, you said it all, man.
Yep. Just, what everything Gary said. Also, you got our brothers out there at Nation Show and J Cal and the Alliance blog, RJ. We're all part of the same team. So make sure you're giving them love as well. We're all in this fight together, man.
We're in it, and we're going to do it, and we're going to make professional wrestling the hottest thing in pop culture again. I feel it. I feel we can do it. We can break people back in. Our target is not the people that are arguing about NXT versus AEW. Our people are the people that are arguing about, like, I just love to get back in pro wrestling, but I'm so lost. We can help them. We can make this happen. Let's contribute to a show that tells everyone what the important parts of professional wrestling are. We've got ideas how to hook people up for the history of professional wrestling. That's coming. I promise you, that's coming. So stick with us. And everything else, it involves you. Thank you so much for listening. At This Is Gary Horde, at This Is Dr. Stinson, at Hans Will. The show right now is at the NWA Pod. We appreciate you. You are the best community I've ever asked for.
Also, let me say, James Lawrence points out the 10 Pounds of Gold National Wrestling Alliance fan club on Facebook is amazing. If you want a history on belts, it is phenomenal. Please follow this guy. He's NWA fam. This Joker's the real deal. Watch that jump.
Look, James Lawrence is 10 Pounds of Gold National Wrestling Alliance fan club. I mean, it's the official, unofficial, official Facebook group of this podcast. That's where we're at. That's where we care about. James Lawrence is holding it down over there on Facebook, and that's where we want to target. You guys show up there. If you're on Facebook and you're not part of that group, you're missing out. Go over there, do that, rep the show, and God, we love you guys. I can't tell you how much we love you guys. I think we're on to something huge here. I'm feeling it. I feel excited. I think this is pro wrestling, and we're going to revamp pro wrestling for an entire new generation. I think we're like you right now watching this. You're on the cusp of making that happen. We're going to do it. But everybody's got to go to bed. I'll shut up talking. There's plenty more to come. I promise you, there's going to be like daily shit by the time we're done with this. But until then, you guys enjoy your gravy cake.